We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry.
Well, I hit the button, and then you must have hit it at the same time I did. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning. No sense in hitting the intro now, I guess. How's everybody doing? Good morning, Andre. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. It's going to be a fun day. We have some fun Ezra Miller news to talk about. We have some early She-Hulk reviews. We have someone on the panel who's even seen a few episodes. We have loads of other stuff that I'm sure is going to come up. So they're great panels. So I'm pretty good. Feeling good about today.
Good. We also have with us Script Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here with these lovely people in the lovely chat.
Awesome sauce. We have Chato down there eating what looks like
Indian food.
Indian food? Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say it looks like goulash, but there you go.
No.
Too.
I'm eating the last of the aloo gobi.
Okie dokie. Well, hopefully you're doing well, sir, and we're glad to have you back again.
I'm good. My channel birthed another video, came out of nowhere, 6 pounds.
Yeah, I saw
it was female.
Ghostbusters review. As someone who really made it big on Ghostbusters, I really looking forward to seeing that video myself. I haven't had the pleasure to check it out just yet.
Well, I have a new concept called Better Late Than Never Reviews, where I review just stupid old shit.
I would say that movie is one that is timeless in its suckiness. So it's never too late.
It's also timeless, I found, in people's need to comment on it fiercely.
Yeah.
So I think that's the lesson I've learned from here. I just got to pick a movie that people want to dunk on no matter what the time frame was.
That's such low-hanging fruit, though.
It's true. But, so if I do Diabolique, no one's going to dunk on it because it's a brilliant fucking movie.
There's lots to learn from it, too. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anyway, yes, I'm here. So
anyway, yeah. And we also have Chris Gore here.
Oh, of course.
In addition to the script. We only have Chris for so long. So we're going to go straight into it here.
To Chris.
More... yeah, that maybe came out wrong. We did get a super chat before the show that I cannot get up on screen, but I do have it behind the scenes here. Salvador Cruz sent us $2 Australian saying, "I have learned a lot from these videos. Thank you." Oh, well, you're welcome, Salvador, and we're glad to have you. And then we also had Dr. Longdongler, who sent us a thumbs up super sticker, which is most appreciated. And that thumbs up, that's keep that in mind as we get into She-Hulk here.
And please, Andre, never use the phrase "couldn't get it up" under any circumstances, please.
Yeah, I shall keep that in mind.
Especially those of us who have enlarged prostates.
Yeah, well, can't say I have that problem yet, but
no, I do not wish it on any of my cohorts.
Out of empathy with those so afflicted, I shall try to avoid that phrase. So yeah, going straight into the matters at hand here.
Go to Chris.
We have someone who has seen She-Hulk, or at the very least, the first 4 episodes. Are we going to get the Chris recommends?
Well, first of all, thank you, Andre, for having me on. As always good to hang out with you and Tom and Script Doctor and Paul. Paul, loving your channel.
Thank you.
Blowing up. I put the Ghostbusters review in my history. That's how I make a playlist. Is I just put it in my history, and then I know what I'm going to be watching later. So I can't wait to check that out.
Well, and I love your opinion on. I try to take a slightly different approach from just a straight review.
Yes, no, I love it. You're doing good work. It's just amazing. So, but launching right in, just because I'm actually headed to Las Vegas for the Friday Night Tights meetup. With, Gary from Nerdrotic will be there. Ryan Cannell from RK Outpost. geeks and gamers. A lot of people are going to be there. So I will also be there at the Millennium Bar tonight at 7 p.m. in Vegas. So I gotta get on the road soon, but I have seen the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk.
Well, then let's not waste any time since you got to get rolling.
Let's not waste any time. Let's launch right in. And let me be clear and start with the fact that I have not liked a single Marvel Disney Plus series. I think the one that had the most potential or was the most interesting, at least initially, was WandaVision. I thought it started kind of cool, creepy, weird. We didn't know what was going on, what the show was about, and then once it sort of muddled to its lame ending, I think it was a disappointment for everybody because of the potential that it had. And every Disney Plus series, in my opinion, has not been great. Has been, like God, Hawkeye just could not get into, and I will say this, from where I sit, She-Hulk is my personal favorite Disney Plus Marvel series. It's fun. It's fun. It knows what it is. It's a legal drama set in the Marvel universe, sort of telling you little pieces of stories in between. It features the most likable female character introduced into the MCU since Black Widow. And let me explain why. I was talking about this before the stream.
First, I just want to say I think people had their expectations subverted. And so others can have their expectations subverted too. Smash that like and help share this stream. Because as usual, I just have to give our daily reminder, we're shadow banned here, so people aren't getting notified. So we do need your help to smash that like and help share this stream. Carry on. Oculus wonders, are you high, Chris? So are you, or did they actually pull something?
No, I'm not high. I haven't liked anything that Disney Marvel has produced up to this show. Now, I've only seen the first 4 episodes. There are 9 episodes. There's a very good chance this could go off the rails. I'm just doing like my bullet points because I gotta get going. But what it is the show isn't overtly woke. There are a couple woke things, and I feel like this is what Disney does that's a huge fucking mistake, is the marketing is woke. The marketing is woke, but the marketing is deceptive, okay? So, for example, in one of the trailers, we saw like Hulk throws a boulder, and then She-Hulk throws a boulder, and she throws it further. Well, what you didn't see is right after that, Bruce Banner, Hulk, picks up a boulder that's even bigger, throws it further, way to the distance we can't even see, and it just
leaves the atmosphere.
It leaves the atmosphere and ignites on fire, and she basically looks at him like, okay, you're stronger than me. But they cut that for the trailer, right? The problem with the Marvel female characters is they've all been unlikable. They're the bestest ever. They're better than the guys,
right?
And they're awesome, and they don't have any personal journeys at all, right? They're great at the beginning, they're great at the end. It's that, and Paul, you've in your videos talked about this as well. Like these characters, they have no arc, they have no journey to go on. What's interesting about this, and why, first of all, Tatiana Maslany is a really amazing and likable actress. And what I was trying to explain was she's likable for the same reasons that Peter Parker, Spider-Man, the most popular character in the Marvel universe, okay? And when it comes to licensing, no one even comes close to Spider-Man, okay? Why is Spider-Man so popular? Because Peter Parker is a person with everyday problems. He doesn't, even when he wins, he doesn't win. He may win as Spider-Man, but he's a loser as Peter Parker in real life. He has problems in his romantic life. He has a boss who's a jerk, and he needs that job. He's trying to struggle and be a good person to his aunt, be a good, be a generally a good person. But no matter what, he kind of gets the short end of the stick. And what's interesting is Jennifer Walters, she's very similar to why I think Peter Parker is likable, in the sense that she has everyday problems. She just wants to be a good lawyer. She wants to excel as a lawyer, but it's partly a workplace drama in addition to being a lawyer show, right? There are jerks at work. There are people that are nice at work. There are problems she has. Her love life is, of course, devastated. She doesn't want to be burdened with these superpowers. She doesn't want to be an event. She doesn't want any part of that universe. She just wants to be a lawyer. And that is, of course, ruined by the fact that she's burdened with these superpowers. You know, with great power comes great responsibility. And she's learning to cope with that. So I think that she's an incredibly, if they finally made, it only took several series. They finally made a likable female character in the Marvel universe. Now, all of this could be derailed. It is, I will say this, it's also very feminist. And this is going to sound like a contradiction. It's feminist, but it's not as woke as you think it would be, right? So there's a line at the beginning in one of the episodes, or there's a speech she gives at the very front of the first episode where you're like, oh, she's not talking about the law. She's talking about something else. There's so much you could read into. Then there's a scene where after she's become She-Hulk, she's in the bathroom, she's all disheveled, and these group of gaggling girls come in and say, oh, are you okay? What did he do to you? Or she, or they. They sort of throw in a they, and it's right underneath. I had to watch a second time. Like, is that what they said? Because it's like underneath all this chatter.
Wait,
now,
so they implied that the they could be someone that would sexually molest someone? That
yes,
they actually went there?
It's implied something bad happened to her because she's been She-Hulk. Now she's not She-Hulk. So it's feminist, but not overtly woke. And I'll say this, there's a character that comes in, I think it's the third or fourth episode, that is, she's basically a party girl, kind of a floozy. Some might call this woman a slut. And she's a party girl that ends up getting involved with Wong in a funny way. And I can't believe that women wrote this character in this show. And that's what makes it like it's very unexpected. She's Madison. She has an extra S and a Y, but it's not where you think. So yeah, it's so I found the show very entertaining. The episodes are short. They're like 25. I think the longest one is 35 minutes with credits. There are post-credit scenes. Some are meaningful, some are not. Emil Blonsky is in it, of course, Abomination. They explain what happened with the, with what happened in Shang-Chi with Wong and what he was doing at that fight club with Abomination. The thing that plays out with Emil Blonsky is pretty hysterical. I don't want to give that away, so I'm being non-spoiler, but my impression is with the show is I was surprised I liked it. I expected to hate it, and I didn't. I actually like legal shows, everything from LA Law, Ally McBeal, the SVU shows and whatnot. Like, those are fun shows to watch. They're fun shows to binge. I was fortunate to be able to watch the first 4 episodes. The first episode really focuses on the origin of She-Hulk, and they don't change it too much from the comics. It's not a blood transfusion. Bruce's blood basically gets in her and accidentally, and that's she is, because their DNA is similar.
Why would they do that? I mean, it was like perfect that it was like a voluntary blood transfusion.
I think it's just to make it. I think it's just to make it quicker. I think it's just to make the show move quicker and make it kind of action packed. Because the reason for their accident, I believe, my theory is it's setting up something involving Secret Wars. Okay. And what's interesting is, because what's really interesting about the Bruce Banner Hulk character is that character has evolved so much over the MCU, right? First he was Rage Hulk, then he, lost his powers and was in the Hulkbuster costume. Then, he was off on another planet and for a time, and then he became Smart Hulk. We find out what Bruce Banner was doing after the blip, right? For those 5 years, kind of figuring himself out. He has this sort of island retreat.
Was it addressed how he fixed his arm?
Yes, that is addressed. So there's a lot that's addressed, and it's like, wow, it's sort of like a mini, like, let's catch up with Hulk. By the way, here's She-Hulk's origin. And he's going through, like, he has this whole binder, like, this is how I healed myself. He basically became his own subject and learned to cope with his powers and control them. And he's using that binder to kind of like help her with her powers and whatnot. She's not as strong as Hulk, but he's sort of learned through, like, it's kind of funny. He's like, doing yoga and mindfulness and all this. And she's just frustrated. She just wants to go back, not be a She-Hulk, and go back to her daily life.
But Hulk is now a conscious Hulk, not just a
correct. Yes,
Well,
correct.
he's like the Professor Hulk, basically.
They
still.
turned him into Beast from X-Men.
In a way,
Well,
yes.
actually,
Right.
this Hulk was the Professor Hulk was the Hulk of the 90s. Was the smart Hulk?
Ah,
I remember
Even in
because that's what
even
killed
at
the Hulk
the
title
80s
in
as well.
Norway. I hate it for that reason.
So FYI, I haven't liked any of the Disney Plus Marvel series. Star Wars, freaking hated Kenobi. Mandalorian has highlights, worthy highlights that are interesting. But other than that, Disney Plus stuff is kind of, I'm not a fan of Disney Plus. And I only had a subscription because I subscribed years ago where they gave you like 3 years for a super low price, and I got it. So I kind of have it. But it's a fun show that doesn't take itself too seriously, that explores parts of the Marvel universe that you wouldn't expect, and Tatiana Maslany makes the show because she's likable in the same way that Peter Parker is. She's just trying to get through life, office problems. I think the 4th episode kind of lost me a little bit, where she kind of tries to date guys. And there are a few parts of it, but it's like, just know this is a feminist show, but it's no more or less feminist than Ally McBeal. Or if you've ever watched a show like that, a legal show,
Sex in the City,
like that kind of thing. It's like definitely feminist, but it's the wokeness is, they wouldn't bring in some dumb party girl. So there are like likable female characters. There are unlikable female characters. There's Titania or Titania.
Titania, yep.
Titania, who's briefly in the first episode, but she's going to be it appears that she will be a series arc. There's a series arc that plays out with her. She's dressed with the huge cleavage, right? The show is basically, it has elements that I think would appeal to men, because you've got like women being sexy. When do you see that happen in a movie or a TV show anymore? There's been an effort, I believe, and Paul, I'd love to see you do a video on this, to desexualize everything. Desexualize women, but overtly sexualize men. Look at Thor: Love and Thunder and what they did to Thor, right?
He's the CW.
Or the CW. It's just like the men can be full. I've seen more penis this year than any year in cinema history, just going to the regular movies. And that used to not be a thing, right? Like, it's just like, that was a thing. You knew kind of like there were parts you weren't going to see. And then a lot of that changed,
So, Chris, would you say that the feminism in this is more akin to like Mary Tyler Moore or something else? Okay.
Exactly right. It's like Mary Tyler Moore. It's like workplace. I just want to get my boss is a jerk. Fine. I'll do what he says. But she's constantly given normal everyday problems. That's why we love Peter Parker. That's why we love Peter Parker up to today, because we've been, and I've loved She-Hulk just because when She-Hulk replaced Ben Grimm in the Fantastic Four, it's like, oh, I really like this character. I like her like attitude. She was different, the way she was written. Although if you go down a rabbit hole and discover the origin of why the She-Hulk was created by Stan Lee, is because this is at the time the Bill Bixby Hulk show was on in the late 70s, early 80s. He was like, oh shoot, like Hulk, like that show was incredibly popular. In the television show, CBS show. I watched it in its first run. I was, I'm old enough to have seen it back then. But like, he was so afraid that somebody could just create a character, another comic book company or TV show, that he just created She-Hulk as a way to like get the copyright, right? And so that's why, Stan Lee's talked about it. You can look up interviews. Like, that's why he created it. It's just like, I was afraid someone was going to steal it, right? That's why he created Spider-Woman, frankly. But the show is just, it's fast. You know what I mean? It's too bad that there's only one episode premiering. I think they would have done better by having 2 or 3 episodes on day one. I think it's a 9-episode series, but there are a lot of funny and clever things. You have to give it up to the showrunners, a woman named, I looked her up, but she's got a lot of deep TV credits. And I think it's just, there's stuff in it that's really clever. There's a whole conversation which I've had with friends. I put out a tweet in 2012 about saying basically Steve Rogers is the world's oldest living virgin. He's 70 plus years old and he's a virgin. And
I thought they already kind of insinuated that though in like Winter Soldier or something like that. Sorry.
You got to see. So this is
that's a funny opportunity to
funny opportunity.
Dish on.
I've had the conversation with friends, and I put a tweet out about it. It was years ago, and it was just one at the time, one of my bigger social posts when I cared about Twitter. I could care less now, but they have this whole conversation about Steve Rogers. Like, she's curious. Like, Bruce works with Steve, colleague. Tell me about Steve. You know, she almost has like a crush on. It's just interesting to see like somewhat normal people in a show. They're dating. She likes men. There's no gay subtext in this that I can see. I'm sure some of the minor characters are going to come out as gay, which they call queer bait, is my understanding. They call that, where they just throw in a gay character just to placate the LGBT community. You know, they just sort of throw in a character, a couple things, and that may be there, but I didn't notice it. A lot of times I don't notice it because I'm not really looking for it. But I watched the first 4 episodes twice. There are a couple things I know they're gonna piss some people off, but I think what's more gonna happen is people are gonna be surprised that if you set aside, I think we're just a little too triggered and knee-jerk because so much stuff has been shit lately. I mean, let's be frank, right? So much stuff has been garbage. We're sort of prejudiced and to look for stuff as a reason to not like it. But if you just set that aside and you just enjoy it, it's like Mary Tyler Moore. It's, you know, like it's only feminist in that sense, you know,
two things. Number one, let's be honest. YouTube is a festival of shit posting.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, in episode 3, the beginning of episode 3, there is a whole montage of YouTubers shitting on female superheroes, but it's funny.
Oh no, but that's great.
That's
like, clever.
It acknowledges Twitter. I don't want to give away some of the jokes.
No, I think that's great. To me, that's the kind of joke I would write.
It makes fun of like how Twitter shits on shows. It makes fun of Marvel and she's the most likable female.
I have one problem with that, the way that you describe it.
Oh, okay.
Because is this an accurate reflection of what actually happens, or is it what they pretend is happening? That you have hordes and hordes of man babies who go and say, I don't like female superheroes. I don't like young girls.
It's funny.
Because this never happens. That's not reality.
Andre, watch it.
This is a deflection.
Then complain.
It's played funny. It's played for laughs, and it's not targeting it's not making it's also real. You know, that's real. That happens. It's real, and real is funny. You know, that's you laugh. Underneath a laugh is usually a truth. Okay.
Ideally,
ideally, there's a truth underneath it, and the show does that. The fact that they included the character Madison, spelled Synn, and she's this party girl that's plastered and drunk and obviously like just looking for hookups, like that they included a character that makes women look bad, like that's awesome. It's funny. Like the women in the show, they're all dressed sexy.
Yeah.
Like,
speaking of,
for once, even She-Hulk's dressed sexy in the show.
Yeah. One of these nuts wonders, how are the male characters in She-Hulk portrayed? Because that's a real thing.
Just like in real life, some are good people and some are assholes. Just like real life. You can focus on the ones that are assholes. She has this douchey coworker that she works with that gets involved in a court case. He's a funny character because he's such a narcissistic asshole. But it's like, you know, I've never been friends with someone like that, but I've met people like that, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking? You're an idiot. And he gets involved in a court case where he's basically, I don't want to ruin anything, but he's involved in a court case, and it's fine. And then there are other male characters that are supportive and good and whatever, and there are jerks and Wong is in it in a funny way, like fish out of water way. He's from the magic world, but he's in like 2 episodes, and he gets involved in a lawsuit, and it's funny. Like, I guess these kinds of things, look, if the Marvel universe was real, yes, there would be lawsuits, yes, there would be like you've got to defend like this, there was a battle, but you destroyed my car. Like, how does that play out? And so
my insurance doesn't cover Abomination throwing my car into the next state.
Exactly. So, I'm surprised I liked it. It's fun. It's feminist. Like, and I'm glad you brought up Mary Tyler Moore, because it's exactly like that. And it's although there's one scene where like a guy she goes out with is reading a book and it's called like The Feminist. And it's like, I'm sure they just threw that in to fuck with people. But at a certain point, it's like, well, what do you want? This is the She-Hulk show. She is the star of the show. Bruce Banner's like the handoff, but he's off doing, I think he's off to, I feel like there's something Secret Wars going on with Bruce.
Well, probably.
And it's kind of a cool setup, but I'm surprised I liked it, aside from the fact that I have not liked any of the Disney Plus Marvel series. I think have all been forgettable, unlikable female leads, like just setting up stuff. I mean, the WandaVision season 2, which was the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, was also not great. But like, it's Tatiana Maslany. And yes, let me just also explain. Yeah, the effects with her are not great. Bruce, actually, the Hulk looks better here than I think the Hulk has almost ever looked in the movies. And I kind of feel like just because they use the same.
I was just going to say, I think that's because they use the same models.
Same models.
In this case, they had to build a She-Hulk model though from the scratch.
The She-Hulk model they built, it's okay. It is like not much better than what we saw in the trailers. Having said that, let me point to a couple things. Superman the movie 1978, Superman the motion picture, Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner directed classic. There are a lot of effects in there that vary wildly. There's some.
Well, I'm going to say this though, Chris. You got it 2 different worlds though.
No,
right?
but let me explain my point. Is that there are effects in there that are amazing. You will believe a man can fly. Well, you do. And there's effects in there that are just god awful, bad, and do not hold up. But it doesn't matter because the performance of the lead actor, Christopher Reeve, makes that movie. And it's he doesn't get enough credit for Clark Kent Superman performance. Superman the motion picture classic, some of the effects are not great, but we don't talk about it because why? Because the character brought us in. Same thing with this. The effects that don't work with her, it's like, but it's fun, and you like Jennifer Walters, you like what she's struggling with, she's dealing with like. And I appreciate, Script, that you brought up Mary Tyler Moore. That could be, it's like Mary Tyler Moore if it was a legal show and she had superpowers. It's a weird mix, but also I love that it's 25 minutes. It's not it doesn't feel like they've stretched it to 50 minutes or something like that, or 7 minutes of credits, which WandaVision did. I'm surprised it's entertaining, and I'm waiting for it to go off the rails. Again, only saw the first 4 episodes, so it could conceivably in the final 5 go down the toilet or do some woke bullshit, whatever. But I'm really sucked in because Jen Walters is likable. Even as the She-Hulk, she's sort of like almost like embarrassed that she has these superpowers. But there's also funny situations. She goes back to visit her family, and then you see her later. Her dad is having her do all these chores like hang a big screen TV or move like water bottles. Like, she's so strong. It's just like everything is effortless, right? But it's funny because how her family reacts. Like, it just.
Is her dad still a cop?
I don't remember. I think I don't remember if they got into like what his like career was. But in any case, I'm surprised I liked it. Go ahead, take your shots at me for having this opinion. But I'll say
no, Chris. All I was going to say about the Superman thing, the difference there is, and I still stand by what I was going to say, and that is, they were inventing those special effects when they were making Superman.
True.
Here, there's been CGI effects since 1993 that have been photorealistic. There's no excuse at this point the kind of money they're spending on this, and I get where you're coming from.
I'm sure that's
a fair thing to say, but
the CGI folk that had a nervous breakdown and got burned
yeah.
out did the very best they could.
That's my point is the amount of money that's being spent, and then we hear those kind of things. It's like the excuse of what we get on the other end is not, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me how so bad some of the CGI has been, especially in the last, I don't know, at least half a dozen or more Marvel projects. But all that aside, see, that's the thing I'm worried about, Chris, to your other point, is I have liked most of the Marvel series up until the last few episodes or the very last episode.
Yeah, that's
that seems to
weird.
be the norm.
Oh
And I
my
even
God,
liked
yeah.
the Hawkeye. I didn't mind what's her face in that, Kate Bishop. I actually liked Natasha's sister in Black Widow, but same problem there. The first half of the movie or so is pretty decent, and then it goes down a hill, and then literally it's just falling off a cliff by the end of the film when you're spending the last 20 minutes falling through the sky going, no one would survive this. Like, what the hell is this about? Like, you know, so yeah, so that's another thing where that one literally falls apart, just like the station that's falling apart in the sky. It's like poetic in some way. But that's my biggest issue too, is you've introduced likable female characters into this, and I get what they're up to. I get their gimmick. But with She-Hulk, I've never been a fan of that character for various reasons, because I'm just not a fan of redundant characters to begin with. And granted, I've never given her
like
a real chance. But that's my biggest fear here, is you can suck us into this show and then they're gonna fuck up the ending. That's what I'm worried about.
Right. Well, you're right about that. Like even WandaVision, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is different. And then once it's revealed, it's stupid and ridiculous. And yeah, but it's really turned me off. It's like Marvel doesn't know how to write a decent female character. And that Black Widow movie was just god awful. I mean, it was so god awful. I mean, it was just like, I mean, not the worst. I think Eternals is probably the worst Marvel film. I'm surprised they're even talking about Eternals too. Here's what I think they're doing. They're developing it. Doesn't mean they're going to make it. They develop a lot of stuff they don't make. How long has Fantastic Four been in development? How long has Fantastic Four been announced? With even like sort of placeholder dates. Okay. But I really got, I really enjoyed the show. It was I think part of it also is the brevity, right? It's most of the show is like 25 minutes, and the credits are kind of fun because what they do is they do, you know, like court sketch artist will draw things. They draw pieces of the show in a court sketch artist kind of style, and it's fun.
Kind of like the storyboards, but maybe whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that, but it's done, you know, obviously they're court sketch artists, right? That's a thing that still exists. So so they use that as the credits, so kind of keeps you watching the credits. And then the end credit scenes are either something meaningful, setting up a future episode, or it's some sort of goofy tag on it. But I like She-Hulk, and you know, come at me, bro. I don't fucking care. But I will say this: Tom, you're really correct in the sense that a lot of these shows have started off strong, and then like the first episode of Winter Soldier and the Falcon, or whatever. I always get that name of that show wrong. Anyways,
it's not worth remembering. Anyways,
yeah.
The one that ends with "do better."
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing that everyone needs to know, and that is the only thing it will be remembered for. Y'all got to do better.
Right. The first episode was great, and then it kind of went off the rails when it got into the whole like let's pump up the racism stuff, and it just was like make that a, you know, isn't Sam Wilson a fucking hero that fought in the battle that saved the universe in Endgame? Shouldn't he be like given special privileges or acknowledgement or something? Yeah, they did. It's just so weird, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like in a way, like this show deals with the blip better than anything else has, you know, because you get to hear what happens with Bruce Banner and his journey to kind of get to some, you know, become Professor Hulk. So look, again, first 4 episodes only, there are 5 to go. It can easily go down the fucking toilet. But yeah, I there you go. If anyone
I will say that what you're saying is actually kind of like what I was expecting. Like when I was looking at the trailer, I was expecting like, this looks fun. This looks like it's something that could be fun. And that's kind of like what you're confirming to me. So I look forward to seeing the entire, like I actually look forward to this. And it's a long time since I've been able to say that about any Marvel series.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, I can stick around for about another 10 minutes.
Well, you said that it seems like they are kind of setting something up for the future for Hulk, which does give me some hope, because I was worried about this character taking over for the Hulk, but now I thought I read somewhere that because I always curious where the rights for the Hulk were sitting at this point, because I would figure sooner or later they'd have to lapse over to Marvel at some point, which it looks like next year they're going to. So I wonder if that's another thing they're doing. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get some more Hulk material with actual Hulk. But at this point, I don't really care if we see any more, like, of the Professor Hulk. I'm not a big fan of that character like most people.
Well, I really like the Hulk in this. The problem is that Mark Ruffalo is such a shit poster on social media that it's hard to kind of, it does kind of in a way interfere, but again, the way they marketed the show is not for, it's to placate journalists. So I find it really weird. Like, why would you market your show to basically suck up to these, to these journalists? It makes no sense to me. It's they don't represent the wider audience or wider potential audience. So there you go.
Yeah.
Any other questions or super chats before I got a bolt?
I was going to say, Yellow Flash, She-Hulk changed my life. It was so good. Probably the best Marvel party property since last one. I think he's giving you a little shit, but yeah.
Well, it's fine. I'll take the shit. But it's not. Look, I didn't like the last one or the one before that or the one before. I haven't liked any Disney Marvel series.
This is true. Zero. This I can vouch for.
Yeah, I think that Yellow Flash here, he's not having a go at you. He's having a go at every other canned critic. The one that's been saying that every single Marvel movie is the best one since the last one, until the last 3 months, when suddenly they all have been saying in unison, once the script changed, that something is wrong with Phase 4. It just isn't knocking it out of the park. Which is funny, because those very same critics said that every movie was the best one since the last one for all of Phase 4. I think that's kind of like what he's having.
But I mean, also, I think
Yellow never said anything of the sort.
So. Maybe that's a reference to that. Who is that woman that turns up in all those Rings of Power videos, like telling you that, like, literally the new Amazon show is going to fucking cure cancer? She's so insufferable in those interviews.
Which one of them? There's so many.
What's her name? She plays Princess Diza, and there's like a montage where she's interviewed like 10 times saying exactly the same thing every fucking time. She's oh my god. And then you look at the guy she's paired with in some of these interviews, and he looks like he just looks so uncomfortable and so nervous. It's funny actually. But yeah, Yellow Flash, feel free to mess with me. You may or may not like the show, but I mean, look, it's 25 minutes. It's short. It's kind of, it's also like She-Hulk is kind of hot in the show too. She's kind of sexy, and there's sexy women in there. Maybe it's just because of thirst for, like, there is clearly an attempt to desexualize women, not in entertainment, period. Like, there's just, I've noticed it. Like, it's like, oh, they don't even like, it's like that stupid thing they're trying to avoid, which is the male gaze. It's like, you know what? Put hot guys in, I could give a shit. Show Thor's ass, fine. But let's have equality. Let's see. But there's that great gif of, Scarlett Johansson walking in the Black Widow outfit. I think is it from Iron Man 2? And Jon Favreau's there, and the whole crew is looking at her ass. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to that, man.
Yeah, that's Iron Man 2. I mean,
see, that's something I was kind of concerned with too, because She-Hulk, let's be real, has kind of always been a character that's kind of treated, how do I put this? She's very proud of her body, let's say.
Yeah. Well, she's actually prefers to be She-Hulk instead of Jessica.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, she should be proud of her body. She has every reason to.
She's at the beginning, right? So it's like she's kind of dealing with it. I don't want to give too much away, but like, she gets hired because it's just workplace drama stuff, but it endears you to the character, which unfortunately it's like every other incarnation we've seen of a new Marvel female character, the worst example being Captain Marvel. What a terrible, unlikable character. Not just because Brie Larson is like that in real life, just insufferable. Like, and if you cast anyone else as Captain Marvel, for example, Mecha J for 5 says, Chris, how much fourth wall breaking is in the show? Once or twice an episode.
I was going to say, you already mentioned it.
It's once or twice an episode. It's not overused Like, this isn't Deadpool, but it happens once or twice an episode. And you're like, okay, cool. And then back to the show. Like, it doesn't overdo it. And I think that was by design. Like, this could be a thing that could get tiresome if you overdo it. They don't overdo it. It's used well. And the thing is, she's not, Jennifer Walters is not at this place in her life. She's sort of dealing with becoming the Hulk or the She-Hulk. She-Hulk is not even, someone else calls her that. She doesn't want to be called that. But she's good. It's that lead actress is likable. Just like Tobey Maguire is likable as Peter Parker. At least the first 2 Spider-Man movies, although I have an affection for parts of Spider-Man 3. Let's be honest. Emo Peter Parker is kind of fun. Emo dancing Peter Parker. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't mind the whole thing. My biggest problem with it is the changing of how Uncle Ben's story and just some of the shit with Venom mainly.
Right, but pay attention to the first lines she says in the beginning of the show. It's not about it could be read many different ways. Look at that going, they could be talking, one person is going to see it one way, another person is going to see it talking about something else. So there are little things in there. And the he, she, they in the bathroom in the first episode was a little, and it's like underneath, it's like, because there's so many women chattering, trying to help her, that like you almost miss it. You got to be listening for it. But it, I was entertained. Yeah, Bully Parker has taken over meme culture. I love Bully Parker.
Yeah, have you seen those videos?
But when you look like a likable character, I mean, like somehow Robert Downey Jr. made Tony Stark likable, right? Even though he's a narcissistic prick, they made him likable because he, was put in a situation, in that cave, built a fucking Iron Man suit, right? Like it's to see his journey, to see him injured, to see him fucked up, like that's, and Jen Walters goes through that, but also in a comedic way. It's not, the show doesn't take itself super seriously, right? And even when they're not taking, people are going to say they're taking shots at YouTubers in episode 3. It's like, it's for comedy. It's meant to be humorous.
It's not vindictive.
It's not vindictive.
Okay.
And it's also based on stuff that's real, right? Like, I feel like it's at a certain point, we all have to have a sense of humor about ourselves. But this is the first Disney Marvel series I've enjoyed, and that could all go away in the 5 final episodes. So,
well, we know we're losing you pretty quick here, Chris. Let's grab these super chats for you.
Sure.
John Apocalypse says, Chris and everyone, I highly recommend the 2022 animated movie Belle. One of the best theater experiences I've had this year. Also, Bullet Train rocks. Did you enjoy Bullet Train? I'm sure you saw it.
It was okay. I had some issues with it, but I love Belle. I love Belle. I have the Blu-ray of Belle, and it's great. And it played IMAX. I regret not seeing it in IMAX. It's also on HBO Max, by the way. Belle is on HBO Max.
There you go. So and then we had one from, let me see here. I just had it and I moved it. AF Watcher, who says, based on Chris's review, what changes occurred? Dana Schwartz's idea got tossed out by Chapek. Fingers crossed. It's good all the way through. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of too. AF Watcher.
I doubt that Chapek may have had like a sort of like like some sort of basic stuff. I can't imagine he's that involved with the show. And Dana Schwartz, I could give a fuck. It's this woman. She's an Asian writer who's the head writer on Twitter. She's Chairman Gao. What's her name?
I think it's Jennifer or Jessica Gao. I'm not
Gao.
Sure.
Gao.
Dana Schwartz is just one of the staff writers. She is not any influential over the show. It's the showrunner's show, so she's just there to throw out words.
I guarantee there's a joke that Gao wrote about using chopsticks to eat Cheetos so you don't get Cheetos fingers. I'm imagining
I've seen 1,000 of those jokes in independent film for years.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, but they're fun throwaway whatever things. I really think that it seems the head writer, because the show is fairly consistent, so definitely there's a consistency. And maybe they're learning. Maybe they've learned that, like, hey, these Disney Plus shows start off strong and then turn to shit. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we can have a flawed female character rather than a perfect bestest ever female character, which is like, but yeah, no, it's but again, I think the feminist slant may turn some people off. But again, Script, you brought up the exact comparison better than I could have with Mary Tyler Moore. It's a feminist Mary Tyler Moore, which is like it's a show. It's a type of show
trying to make it on her own, but the world is, it's hard, and it's not really against her. It's just hard. That was Mary Tyler Moore. If I was accepted into the writer's room of that, that's probably what one of the first pitches I would have done is like, let's just watch an episode of Mary Tyler Moore and capture that tone if we're going to go for the fourth wall.
That's exactly right. It's that level with the legal show aspect. It's short, all the sort of B stories. I mean, there's just the B stories, everything pays off. There's set up for series long things with Titania, and then something's going on with Bruce. First 4 episodes, I have a problem with the 4th episode, but I don't want to get into it in any kind of depth.
You don't want to spoil it, but
see it, but I got to run. But
okay.
Thank you for allowing me to rant. I am going to be doing a live stream while I'm driving to Vegas.
Tommy wanted to know if Daredevil showed up at all, and how did they handle it real quick if you did. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Daredevil's not in the first 4 episodes.
And then Tickle Trunk also said Chris Prey had woke marketing. The She-Hulk had woke marketing. Were the commercials as misleading for this show, less or more?
100%. All the commercials for She-Hulk have been like definitely leaning into wokeness. I even pointed out how they're deceptive. Signing up for Disney Plus, probably not, but maybe sharing an account, sure.
There you
I
go.
wouldn't sign up just for this one show. I'd sign up for a trial after it's all over and binge it.
That's not a bad idea.
But I watched all 4 episodes. I think all 4 episodes combined were under like 2 hours, and it just flies by. It's quick and fun. I think it's a mistake to only drop the first episode, because the first episode isn't like the rest of the show. The first episode is her origin, learning powers, and there's a fun thing where Bruce is trying to tell her, here's how your life's going to change. He's like, you have to reinforce all your furniture, like basically add like metal on all your furniture, or you're going to break it all. Like you got to be careful. So he's telling her like basics, like stuff that they wouldn't take the time for in a movie, but you can take the time for in a television show. And what they did is they created a likable female character in the Marvel universe. And Captain Marvel, I don't know how they're going to save or make Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, likable. She certainly hasn't been likable in any of the cameos that she's done post her solo movie. I think that she's probably the worst character, and I don't know that they have the self-awareness to understand why she's so unlikable. So I don't know. All I can say is this: expect She-Hulk to show up probably in Marvel's, to make Marvel's sort of a Ghost Avengers movie in some way, is what that's
probably that A-Force movie or whatever we've been hearing about.
Right. So that's just theory. I have no inside knowledge. But
thank you, STR Red Wolf, and of course, thank you, Chris, for being here today. We appreciate your extra time this week. We always appreciate when you can. And Gabriel Quiroga says, "Hail Midnight," says, "Chris, I'm glad you like She-Hulk. I'm just burnt out on Phase 4. I've been in this fight since 2016, listening to studio actors hate men." And that's a fair assessment. I understand where you're coming from, Gabriel, but I'm glad to hear Chris enjoyed it so far. So that's
exactly, and also everyone should be understanding that
for
more than half a decade, we've all suffered from studios that hate audiences, that hate genre audiences, and that hate men in particular. I mean, Chato's done amazing videos about just that. So we shall see if how the series actually fares. Got high remarks from Chris Gore. That's certainly the first few episodes, and again, you hyped really well.
And I'm sure you're going to talk a bit more in depth on your channel on Film Threat.
Yeah.
Right?
So please come to the Film Threat live stream. Alan will be running the stream. I'll be in a car driving to Vegas. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I'll talk more there. We got a bunch of stuff to go over, but I'm really curious.
Have a safe trip, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm really curious, Andre, what you think, because I think you're one of the few people that's like, I kind of am looking forward to She-Hulk. So
yeah.
Andre.
Well, Andre and I are the two biggest Hulk fans we know.
Did you?
But I'm not a big She-Hulk fan.
Did you respond to the 800-pound gorilla? How was the CGI?
It's not great.
Oh yeah, it's not great.
It's not great. It's consistent with what you've seen in the trailers. Having said that, because of Tatiana Maslany's performance, she's really likable. You can look, I defy you to go back and watch the first Spider-Man, with Tobey Maguire. All the CGI ain't so perfect in that either. It's like when you like the character whether it's Christopher Reeve as Superman, if the character can outact the bad CGI, is what I'm saying. And it's not as much of a distraction in the context of the show. Okay. But the thing is, it does stand in contrast to the fact that Bruce Banner, Hulk, is really good. It's probably the best he's ever looked in some ways. So
Chris, you have to come back and we'll do like a
if
proper
the
special
CGI
live discussion on it.
If the CGI is better than the final fight scene in Black Panther, I'm okay.
Yeah, no, that was bad too. But anyways, I got to run. I'm off to Vegas.
I want to say about like the first Spider-Man. I noticed back in 2005 that this looks PlayStation 2 cutscene level. Some of the stuff right there, but
exactly.
But yeah. Anyway, Chris, you have to run. I look forward to having you back again next Monday. Talk some more odd. You have a victory lap to do right there.
Yes,
and also to do like a proper She-Hulk roundtable when the rest of us get to see this thing.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what other people's opinions are. Feel free to take a shit on my opinion. I don't care. All right, take care, everyone. Thanks.
Take care.
Really
appreciate
it. Bye-bye.
I'm waiting for the YouTube She-Hulk bikini haul video.
I don't understand what it just is. It just her with bikinis?
So there's this.
They did a episode issue of that, didn't they? Or at least the cover. Sorry.
There's a category of YouTubers, young nubile women who get bikinis and then come and put them on, not on camera, but they what is it called? They
model.
They model the bikinis. Very unpopular, let me tell you.
Extremely unpopular.
Extremely huge.
Nobody watches it, huh? It's sad. Those girls will end up starving.
They will.
Action Com says, Andre, any thoughts on the passing of Wolfgang Petersen? Yeah, we heard about this yesterday.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And may he rest in peace. Great German director who made some great movies, some not so great movies. And he
director of one of the best movies of all time that nobody talks about and no one puts in their top 10 list.
Das Boot, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Das Boot is.
I watched that in German class. I thought you meant Breakout or whatever.
No. I meant Das Boot.
Yeah.
I figured.
And also, he's done a lot more that many people have never seen, both of other German movies, German TV. But to me, Das Boot will always be his definitive movie. Although he has made some other really good ones as well. So yeah, sad to see him go. Great filmmaker, and he rest in peace.
Yeah, the German adaptation of Freaky Friday was fantastic.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, it was sad to hear that yesterday. And then Silver Nova says, just wondering if She-Hulk will have any amount of main character helping and protecting others with her newfound powers. The trailers seem like it's all about me. Well, sorry I didn't get to this, Silver Nova, while Chris was still here, but at least from what Chris is saying, it sounds like he's enjoying it. So fingers crossed.
Have you ever read Marvel Comics? Me is basically the central theme of all of them since the very beginning. I mean, that's what they are. And they're good at that, so.
True. So we'll have to see how this one rolls out. Tim Scorpion says, Disney's marketing being more woke than the product is something I can verify. Cough, cough. Lightyear, Thor, Love and Thunder, cough, cough. Yeah, it's been a common thread lately.
You need to take care of that cough.
I know, right? Especially
and Disney needs to take care of their marketing department, which is scaring audiences away.
It is.
There's so many marketing agencies that should be out of business because they're incompetent, but they're not.
Liam John Smith says, saw Gaga in Chicago's Wrigley Field 2 days ago. Wonder if they'll auto-tune her for faster-paced songs like Emma Watson in Beauty and the Beast. Could she not sing fast? Because a lot of her songs otherwise are pretty fast. I didn't know she had an issue with that.
I haven't listened to much of Lady Gaga.
Or Emma Watson.
Here's the thing, in the music industry, especially like the really super commercialized A-list industry that Lady Gaga is a part of, they sometimes do a lot of very subtle auto-tuning,
Oh, yeah.
some speed up, stuff like that. And I would be more surprised if that hasn't already been done on all of Lady Gaga's previous records than if it has not been, basically.
Well, I can't speak for Emma Watson can't sing. That's why they had to do what they did for her.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Lady
She couldn't even
Gaga
sing with
is
the
a
help.
great singer, but that doesn't
Here's the
mean
thing.
that they still wouldn't have done some improvements on the recording.
I can't speak to her recordings, but I will say this: as far as live performances, you all will be surprised how many times in the last 20 or so plus years that they have been using live auto-tune and you didn't know it. Because the singers usually can't hear themselves very well. So they have a system, and I've actually seen some videos where they're starting to make arguments to just take it away anyway, because there's been some concerts where it's really ruined the singer's voice and the nuance of the singer's voice.
I can mention one, Madonna. I mean,
yeah, she's one of them. And there was that one guy who won like one of the American Idols. I seen they had a concert of him. They isolated his vocal and then they showed it compared to the recording, compared to the live performance, and he had auto-tune on the live performance, but the original vocal was not. And it lost all his nuance and it sounded horrible. And they said the reason is because a lot of times now these guys just can't hear themselves, so they can't tell if they're in the right key or anything like that. So they'll just flip on the auto-tune to help fix that, but it usually just makes them sound like T-Pain, but yeah. So yeah.
Yes,
but,
or Cher.
And she did that. She's the one who started this whole fun.
Well, the producer of it started it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. To be clear. I mean, it was in use before that, but before that, the whole point was to hide it. Cher was the first time they put it right out there in the open. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Lady Gaga in comparison to Emma Watson though. Emma Watson just couldn't sing in general. Quang Su says, I saw Grace Randolph be on the trailer review, and even she didn't like the way they did the feminism in She-Hulk. Although she liked the show overall.
Because
yeah, she's usually one on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because someone said jokingly, She-Hulk is a TERF, and if She-Hulk kind of falls into that kind of feminism, as opposed to the how do I put this without getting the channel even more shadow banned? Well, basically, if she's on the side that Grace Randolph is not of feminism,
if she's on the same side as some Harry Potter writer, maybe.
JKR?
Yeah, maybe, because like a certain Harry Potter writer also identifies as a feminist, and not everyone is equally fond of all feminists. Let's say, if it's like that kind of it, then this might not be so bad.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Andre. Hopefully Kwang Su does. And thank you for the support.
I don't mind the feminist jokes that match the distaff side of what the guys do on their end, in that they're, I'm calling it man-child, and it could be woman-child. Just they're groovy, very funny, clearly ironic, and they have good senses of humor from their side of the fence. I've seen that writing before. It's really refreshing. I love watching that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think Paulie puts it best here. There's a difference between chick empowerment and feminist agenda. Although I don't know if I'd put chick in front of empowerment there, because that kind of
sounds delicious.
I would.
I know, but
Filet.
Chick-fil-A, but no, but Paulie's not wrong here, at least in my opinion. But then Shadow Dancer, the Red Mage, says Damage Control originally was a tongue-in-cheek satire of the aftermath of super battles. This is what I thought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to be more so.
That's what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been.
That's what it was sold as.
Yep. It's true.
And when we watched it, I'm like, what in the fuck is this boring ass drivel?
Yeah, it comes across a lot like the first few Damage Control comic books, which are boring ass drivel.
I understand what you're saying, but the management is sound, but still.
Management.
They took the wrong part of those comics for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, because yeah, I mean, they never recovered from that horrendous pilot. I know the show got better, but it didn't get better enough to recover from the start.
Didn't they do a Damage Control pilot as well that didn't get to air?
No, DC did a version of that actually.
Okay,
The
DC
last
did.
Adam
You're
West
right. Okay.
performance, of it.
Okay.
But no, I have the Damage Control comics. The first few were not that good.
No.
Ones that towards the end was actually a bit better.
No, to me, I just liked the concept, and I thought they could run with that. And then when I saw what Shield was what ended up being, I'm like, this is fucking dumb.
It was also a Joss Whedon driven
exactly
mutant enemy.
Him and his brother, wasn't it?
It's also it just feels like network notes all over it. Can you make it more of a procedural?
Yeah.
Can you get rid of the rest of Shield and just make it about these 5 people?
Yeah, it just feels like network notes. That's what it feels like.
No, this whole thing should have been like the what was the name, Tag and Bink or whatever of Star Wars.
That would have been amazing.
It should have been basically that. It should have been the guys who get the shit job of having to clean up after the superheroes, dealing with talking to all the witnesses, all that kind of all the shit jobs. That would have been a funny the humor ironic. That you could find.
No, that is great for us, not for a broad middle America network audience.
Well, and I mean, this is where that neither is half of the Marvel MCU series we've gotten, but that didn't stop us from getting them.
Yeah, and Biggs and Wedge. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. Thank you for that, Malice. I can't believe nobody here didn't correct me. If they did, I didn't.
I don't know Biggs.
I had no idea who you were talking about at first.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the damn name.
Wedge is a junior pilot.
no, not Biggs and Wedge. No, it's the Tags and Bink or whatever the hell.
Correct. Tag and
Bink.
That's
what I thought. So okay. Yeah.
Where in Star Wars were Tag and Bink exactly?
Legend comics. They're hilarious.
Okay.
They're 2 stormtroopers or whatever and stuff like that.
2 stormtroopers that get mixed up on a bunch of misadventures in the backdrop of the original trilogy.
I did love that in The Mandalorian where
behind it is not a fan of us, but yeah.
Like, were they like those 2 stormtroopers who were talking about? Yeah, we got this reputation for not being able to hit the side of a barn.
I think that those 2 stormtroopers in that one episode, were kind of loosely based or meant to be them. Or
that
some
was
shit,
just, I love that.
Those were based on Tag and Bink, yes.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying, is that's what S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been. It could have been fun in that respect.
Oh, yeah.
And it just ended up being bogged down in its own, like,
well, it could even have been like featured Agent Quatermain and like the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that we saw in the Incredible Hulk comics. That would have been pretty sweet as well. Like anything other than what we got, basically.
Yeah, this whole idea of just bringing back what's his face and all that stuff it was pointless in the end. It was all pointless.
It was worse than pointless because then you had to cleverly disguise him so that the Avengers never knew that he was alive and well again. Like
they didn't disguise him; they just kept him hidden.
I was gonna say, the only time the 2 sunk up was during was it Winter Soldier or was it the second Avengers movie? Whichever one it. Yeah, I was gonna say whichever one. I think it was Winter Soldier. Yeah, where basically he shows up with the plane and he's like, "Where the hell did you get that?" And he's like, "From a friend." That's it. That's the only time that the 2 really kind of cross over, because you see in the episode that's where Samuel Jackson got the plane from. That's like the only time the 2 crossed over. I'm just like, that was it. That was it.
Well, in the films, because the tail end of that one season.
Oh yes, true.
The destruction of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Bill Paxton was in that.
Yeah, they did have a lot of stuff from the movies kind of come into the show here and there, but it was pointless in the end. But yeah, because
basically the movies crossed over with the TV series, but the TV series did not cross over with
exactly.
The movie.
Yes, as I used to explain it to people, the movies could affect the show, but the show could not affect the movie, and that was my whole point. Is the only time the show ever had anything to do with the movie was the crossover with that stupid carrier, and that was it. But yeah, Damage Control would have been a bit funnier. We went down a bit of a path there. Sorry about that, guys. But because we got to get to some Ezra news here. Views on Hughes didn't say anything, just sent in $2. Thank you for the support, my friend. And then Dekaiju Gamer says, did they make Hulk look like dumb to lift her? Oh, sorry. I wish we got this when Chris was here, but judging from the CGI, I wouldn't hold my breath.
Judging from what he said, no. But let's wait and see how it plays out.
Hulk does not. From Chris Gore, what he said before the show and what he said here, from what Chris Gore told us, Bruce Banner Hulk is not subverted to make Jessica look better.
And then Lifting the Veil says, look up the etymology of elf literally means the white people. Oh, I'm assuming this is referring to some Lord of the Rings talk at some point.
Probably,
I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's going to be coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, stay tuned. for
September
that.
2nd?
Yep.
Reading it already.
Actually, that's the same day Jaws comes back to theaters. I'm more excited about that.
The day Tolkien died.
How
Oh,
many?
yeah, they're putting it out the way Tolkien. I mean, that talk about rubbing salt.
That is it, isn't it? Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Then Deer sends us some double horns. Thank you for that, sir. And we got All Hail Star Trek Overall, who asks thoughts on WB MGM deal. I haven't been able to check into this all yet. I saw you sent me the story on this morning. Basically, it looks like Warner Brothers is going to be distributing some MGM films overseas, but I don't know the whole.
Thought on that.
I don't have the whole in and out of that. I just know it was about the Bond movies. So yeah, go ahead on.
Yeah, Zaslow going to save Bond.
Might.
And just as this news broke, that's the exact same time that
because Sony's deal with them is up after the last one, isn't
everyone's been wanting for James Bond for years.
Henry Cavill.
No, not Henry Cavill. All the media has been wanting for years.
Oh, Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, yeah, like he's basically taking himself out of the running. That may be a coincidence, but yeah. So maybe now Zaslav will have an influence in that, and since we know that he's all about the core of the characters and their core appeal and the fundamentals of the brand, maybe we're going to get that 60s Bond reimagining. One can hope.
Oh, that would be neat.
And I don't know the ins and outs of the deal, but I wonder if this has anything to do with the stalling of the Amazon MGM deal. I haven't heard any updates on that lately. I'll have to check in with Valiant and the guys and see if they've heard anything, because if that's the case, and I know this is a foreign deal, this has only to do with like outside the U.S., but from what I saw, I didn't get a chance to check into it. But I'll have to look into this some more and get back to you guys on this, because it looks interesting, because I'm curious if this deal doesn't go through with Amazon, if Warner might swoop in and pick up the rest of MGM. It would make freaking sense. They own all of MGM's library pre like 1976 anyway, or something like that. The only things they don't have are the Bond films and the United Artists films, which include like Rocky and stuff like that. Otherwise, they have all the big MGM. When you think of MGM and the big movies, you think about like Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, stuff like that. They're all over at Warner Brothers. They own them. So at this point, it would make more sense for them to just pick up the rest if that was the case. But I don't know if that's what's going on, so don't quote me on that or anything like that. But it sounds like you guys know a little bit more about it than I do, at least, Andre. But yeah.
Only the gist of it. And the gist of it is that Zaslav won't have full control, but he'll have some level of influence because he has a monetary stake. And with that monetary stake comes influence. It's just a matter of how much.
Because I was going to say, because isn't Sony's deal with them up now after that last one? Because I don't think Sony had anything to do with the very, very last one. That's what I'm saying. Like, because they had like a 4 or 5 picture deal with them for the Bond movies, because they were distributing them. Sony was.
Yeah.
And then at that last one, though, that was MGM all by themselves, though, I think. Unless somebody telling me the other, because I haven't watched the new one. Is Sony's logo in front of the new one or not? I don't think it is. So I think that was the whole thing, is they were releasing that one on their own. I'll have to get into this, because, yeah, this is something I haven't had a chance to dig into yet. But Gabriel Quiroga says, Marvel used to make movies for everyone, and now it seems like they have feminist slant and men have to fall in line. We need more Top Gun Maverick. Well, hopefully that kind of a movie will influence Hollywood across the board to reevaluate what they're doing with some of these properties. It's not that and this is the thing, is we constantly get this like idea that we're against female superheroes. She-Hulk could be one of those to prove them wrong, as long as they did it right. And I'm not a fan of She-Hulk. I just know a lot of other people are. Like, I know Script Doctor, you're a bigger fan than I am by far.
I've read every single She-Hulk issue published since her debut up to 1996. That includes her appearances across other Marvel titles, including the Bill Mummy Comet Man or Cosmic Man miniseries that he did with Miguel Ferreira.
See, and there's a lot of people like you, so I think that She-Hulk has some potential as long as they didn't fuck it up. but I guess
we'll see what happens. I hope they didn't. I really like Tatiana Maslany, so
yeah. So this has some potential, but I don't know. And then Darius Moonchausen sent us, let's see here. Don't have it in front of me. I'm going to figure it's popcorn, though, because that's usually what Darius sends us. But thank you for that. We got Action Com who says, I can't tell if Bullet Train is a love letter to Tarantino or 90s era's Usual Suspects, Magnolia-esque complicated plots, all glossed with a weirder aspect of Japanese culture. I heard more about, like, it's more like in the Tarantino
Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie, that's the one, yeah. And what's his space also that was big during Tarantino's phases too? Soderbergh. I heard some people say it's kind of like one of those.
All I know is a lot of my industry friends were not impressed with it.
Really?
Yeah, they thought it was okay.
Well, that's the thing. I haven't heard any glowing reviews, but that's, most people are saying, oh, it's pretty good. It's got this fun part, it's that fun part, and stuff like that. But I haven't heard like an overall glowing review of it.
I prefer Soda Streamberg. That's. I'll just add my proper and decent remarks as they come along needed.
It's all good, sir. Views on Hughes says the show sounds meh, and the origin change, I doubt it's because to speed things up, there has to be a deeper reason behind it.
I know a really good reason behind it. Her origin involves originally a court case that she is going after, like the mob, and it's complicated because it's a court case. And I think because the writers didn't want to dwell on a court case, they're like, let's just do a new origin to get us to the point where she's learning her powers and dealing with life. And I think that would be their logical take on avoiding recreation of her being shot and then Bruce Banner having to save her by a blood transfusion.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's put a pin in the super chats for now, and let's talk about the pink elephant in the room.
Pink being the operating word.
Yes, or should we say? Well, I think this image says it all, right there.
I'm surprised no one's done a montage of the song "I'm Sorry" with doing it. Everybody's going for the South Park stuff, but no one's doing the other "I'm Sorry" stuff.
I know that's true. There's plenty out there, but yeah. So here's a statement put out by, and I have to put the camera on for this, Ezra Miller. Okay.
He's Ezra Miller, and he endorses this response.
So did you want to take the reins on this one, Andre?
I can read it. So basically, Ezra Miller, or Ezra Miller in quotation marks, because I doubt that he personally had anything to do with this message. He is credited with having put out this message, courtesy of the studio, having recently gone through a time of intense crisis. I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment, Miller says. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life.
Within the next 3 quarters.
Within the next 3 quarters, and prior to the release of The Flash.
Yeah.
This is entirely right. And actually, let's begin with you, Paul. As a former studio executive, is this the right move for the studio to do? Actually, before you answer with your studio hat on, I want your answer with two hats. For a second, I want your answer with the hat of a former studio executive. But first, I want your hat of a modern-day YouTuber and commentator of genre culture. Do you buy this drivel?
No, of course not. Especially when you stick an adjective in front of crisis, which doesn't require it. A crisis is intense. You can't make it more intense. my head is more on fire now. It's even
Maybe the crisis was intense for the people who put this statement out.
I was going to say, like, to Miller, I don't think the crisis was that intense to him.
yeah.
To
So
him, yeah, go ahead.
so I
Sorry.
mean, I mean, from if I'm going to be a a trash talking YouTuber, then this is just more fodder for putting his head on South Park cartoons and things like that. It's easy to make fun of, but at the same time, I tend to be, I'm hoping that as a human being, he gets through it. There's nothing much more to say. I'm not going to ridicule him for even having had this generated. What will be bad is if he falls off the wagon yet again, and then it just becomes like, how many times do we need to have him apologize? How many times has he apologized already? This is the most official one, but hasn't he already kind of said sorry before?
No, before he run underground.
Okay. Maybe it was the Warner
This is
Brothers
the first
marketing.
time that he apologized, not on camera and not in front of everyone. So it's the first apology that is credited to him, and it came in the form of a published statement.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my executive hat on.
Not only that, it was put out late in the afternoon. I don't know if that matters at all, but go ahead.
So my executive hat, what this says is the test screenings for the movie were fantastic. And I'm having my oh shit moment. That's what this apology says to me.
Basically, the studio are like, okay, we have to find some way to salvage this.
Correct, because it's working.
We don't want to mess with the movie because the movie, we don't want to mess too much with the movie because the movie is great. So let's find some way to make it work with this guy.
Yeah. Which is funny because Script, you did a post on this either late last night or earlier this morning, where I was thinking the same exact fucking thing about this whole thing, because I have yet to hear about some great screening of The Flash. The only thing I've ever heard about The Flash is that it was very convoluted. They didn't like the ending, and they liked Michael Keaton. That was all I kept hearing. Nothing has changed since then as far as my sources. But Script brought up an interesting point, and this is one thing we've keyed in on with Zaslav, is when he said, we love these movies, we think they're great, but they can be better.
They can be better, right?
Go ahead, Script. There's a reason why you posted that, I'm sure.
Well, I think he said we think they're terrific, but we can make them better. And that throws me for a loop, because I've been in enough meetings in Hollywood to know that when someone says it's terrific, they don't ever follow up with it making it better unless they're lying to you.
There's that too.
And that was the kind of thing that threw me off, because it's like, well, these are terrific, but we can make them better. Are they really terrific? Or are they talking the characters are terrific, but the movie sucks, so we're going to make them better? Or are they using terrific in the original sense of a terrifying event? Because that's the original definition of terrific.
Well, the terrific is also an overdone word. That's a dangerous word. If they had said, we're really happy with this.
They're great. They're fantastic. We're excited for these things. Like
that's
that
bad.
Yeah, something doesn't smell right. Yeah.
It's just that it kind of resonated with me this morning, because I'm thinking about it and I'm reading all these other articles that are going over the earnings call, and just a part of my limited as a producer, because I don't produce much at all. I just write and send it off and let someone else take care of it. But on the few times I've been a producer and a few times that I've joined all those production meetings, you definitely get massaged if the movie has notes and things of that nature, but you kind of get that way ahead before they talk about how great it is. Like, we think the script is fantastic, but it's got a third act problem here that doesn't live up to the first two acts, so we want to fix it that way. Like, they go right into it pretty quick. There's no real clever, polite wording or massaging.
Well, to me, anytime there's a but, then that's the automatic something, is up right there.
And that's and the other part too is Zaslav can't say to any of the investors, these movies are terrible and we have to reshoot them, because that's going to kill him. So he has to frame it in a way where it's like, we're very proud of what we have, and in regards to the Batgirl thing, we can make those better. It's probably what he was trying to convey, but I don't know if that that's the case, because it just a little voice in the back of my mind is saying something's not right with this. And my own experience.
There's also the issue where they're setting up the universe. They were planning on setting up a certain Flashpoint universe, and I think they're trying to take that out.
Yeah, they're taking that
they're
out.
Definitely taking that out.
Which pulls the entire need for this story to be even pushed further for the Flash. Because again, the Flash has been in development and production technically since 2015.
Actually, 14, I think, is what we found script. 14.
Okay, so yes, even longer, which means that they probably had a basic origin film, scrapped
in this incarnation, mind you. Sorry.
They probably had a basic origin film, scrapped that, had another attempt at an origin film, scrapped that, and then when I guess Hamada and co. decided, hey, we need to shift gears, we can use the Flashpoint comic as a reference, and then do that. And now, because Zaslav doesn't really care about kind of making a brand new timeline, and he wants to reset things. So basically, kind of stick with what's happened, but not quite exactly. And the Flash's entire production and mean for existence was to completely change direction tonally of the films. It becomes what I called Flash pointless. There's no, where's the reason? Where's the compulsion for the audience to see this film? Because nothing in the advertising, aside from the fact that Keaton and Ben Affleck are in it, would be of any interest at this point.
Right.
And just as a screenwriter, it's like, what's the point of making a Flash movie at all? If you're like, you don't even have to reset anything, because there's nothing to reset. Everything's been kind of pretty consistent since Man of Steel. I mean, the closest thing that's kind of deterred from, the furthest thing that deterred from that, from the main cast of those movies, was Aquaman. And you can easily ignore the Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. And the Suicide Squads if you want to, but they don't really feel different in tone compared to what was started at the beginning. So I don't even understand what direction is going on, or why even having this movie to begin with. And it just boggles my mind. But the reason we're getting this statement is because they looked at all their options. They said, which one is the one that's the cheapest? And it's obviously going to be the one that keeps all the footage and production that they've used with Ezra Miller. And so whatever public relations company came in and pitched their action to try and salvage this film by way of Ezra Miller, Warner Brothers said, okay, you're the ones, go do it. And all that stuff is going to come out of Ezra Miller's pocket by way of whatever money he made off of The Flash. That's my take.
Yeah, I'm kind of convinced at this point that something held this movie into play, whatever it was. Because everything you're saying, script, even if the movie was decent, even if it was just quote unquote decent, not great, but decent, there's no reason to release this film at this point. It is Flash pointless. And that's what I love that you coined that term, because what is the deal with this movie? There's got to be some back end deal. Even if there is at this point, you would think they would have just wrote a check to pay Michael Keaton off and got it all taken care of. But funnily enough, we were planning a video when all this shit happened, where we were going through the options. And of course, all the options that were out there were things that I've been talking about for the last few months. And evidently door number one was chosen for Ezra, let's say, because I'm not going to say he chose this door, because I was hearing he was resistant. And there was more evidence to getting help. Because a lot of what I had been hearing was backed up more because they found him at his, I think it was either his farm or his mom's farm in Vermont, and they snapped some photos of him because there was a rumor going around that he was in rehab, and I heard that was complete bullshit. They couldn't get him to go.
Right.
So some point between then and now, or last night, let's say, somebody was able to either get Ezra to agree to this shit finally, or they said enough's enough. We're just going to throw the kid in the fucking tank and hope for the best at the end of this on the other side, because whatever it is that's keeping this movie into play, this was the best option Zaslav could have hoped for in this situation. And I bring this up because, like I said the other day, at this point, he hasn't technically been charged with anything that can't be really
There's nothing that can't be undone, brushed under the carpet, and
unless there's some more serious shit that
from.
we don't know about, and that's the thing.
Unless dead bodies start appearing and stuff like that, or some woman in Iceland comes up with like Ezra is the father of my baby or something like that, then
something crazy that's crazier than we've already heard.
Yeah, exactly.
So at this point, because they'll be able to talk down that, or they'll be able to plea down that burglary deal. And then I think even Andrew over at Legal Mindset was talking this morning about how they're probably going to use the insanity plea or whatever to get him out of everything else.
Well, they've sat down with him. They've sat down with him and said, we're going to release this thing in 3 quarters. This is what we need you to do.
I think they sat down with him, and I think that they told him, okay, look, there's 2 options on the table here. Either we're going to release this thing with you in it, and for that to happen, you're going to have to do this, this, and this, or more importantly, not do that, that, and that, at least until the movie is released. That's option 1. The option number 2 is that we're going to have to change the movie, and we're going to hit you with such a massive bill that it'll send your grandchildren spinning. I think that's more likely the conversation that went down. Because remember, his mother came in here and also spoke with him, and I don't know the details about his family relations, but what I do know is in the articles and stuff that we have heard, the parents apparently hadn't done much before, but now suddenly, just before this thing from the studio, they got involved. So I think that
there's even some question, like the one incident that he was involved in, it may even be a family member, I heard.
Yeah.
So there's there's a lot of shit going on that we have no idea.
Well,
but what's funny is this is the original plan that I had heard. If you go way, 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 way back, and probably even before you were on the channel, Paul, I had said this is their original plan. They were hoping that he would just lay low, and Script was right. At that time, he's like, they should just dump the movie. Do it now before it's too late.
Well, here's the other sad part. Ezra Miller is pushing 30 years old. He still needs his parents to bail them out.
Yeah, well, that's because this kid is, look.
He's not a kid. He's nearly 30.
He's a kid to me. He's a kid to me, Script. So that's why I keep saying it.
Yeah.
To me, he's a kid, right? That's the thing.
The main thing to me is what's going to be his uniform, his costume in the movie, because
orange.
I really hate the padded kind of semi armor uniform they gave him in the last movie. I thought that
in that one still shot, it looks like he's wearing an inflated condom.
Well, at least he'll have protection.
Yeah, right. Well, I think the biggest issue with this is with the fact that we're sitting here, because I've heard a lot of people going, well, what more do you people want from him? He's actually admitting to this, and it's this, that, and the other. It's like, is he though? Because this doesn't sound like anything Ezra Miller is saying. We don't have an actual apology video. We have a statement put out, and it reeks of a PR team. And basically, what that means is a lot of people that were attached to Ezra Miller saw their bank accounts getting lighter, and they knew something had to finally be done. And, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't they do something? Why didn't they do something? Well, clearly, Zaslav has been trying. Guy's only been in control for 4 months, finally got some shit done. Something that the people before this couldn't get done for 2+ years or whatever it was that he's been going on this crazy spree, right? In fact, they even had him doing reshoots in between getting arrested, for fuck's sake.
They were able to get him to come in for that.
Like, at this point, it's like they've tried everything they can. I just hope for Ezra's sake he gets some help. I hope there's no more victims. I hope that this goes smoothly for Zaslav. I hope the movie's as good as they're boasting, because otherwise we're going to come out of that going, what the fuck was the fuss?
Well, this apology note, I think, is intended to be the last bit of communication until the movie comes out.
You probably are not wrong, Paul, because again, this was one of the points we brought up in our video that got killed because of this. And that was, they still didn't quite know, even if they did get him to do these kind of things, how he would react on the other end, right? They have no idea how he'll act on a talk show. They have no idea how he'll act on a red carpet. they can get him to sit down and do like an Amber Heard interview where they can edit the fuck out of it. That I'll bet we'll see eventually. But you're right, Paul. That will either be just before or just after the movie drops.
Right.
Right. We'll
This
get
is
more
the
of
last
these
bit of communication unless he goes nuclear.
No, we'll get more of these things because this is a very common PR tactic where the PR firm is going to frame Miller as the victim of his own circumstances instead of being accountable for the fact that he is also responsible for his own actions. They are definitely going to say they're going to advertise him as a poster boy for mental health and trying to recover from mental health, because that's going to be the only way. If any of his any charge that he has or any future charges that are brought up or discovered are brought to court, that's the only defense they're going to be able to play with.
But I think that's just going to be part of the, 2-week run up to the movie opening.
Oh yeah.
Hey Miller,
that's what I'm saying.
How are you feeling now? You know what? I feel much better. I'm looking forward to watching
Ezra Miller, the Oprah Winfrey interview.
Yeah, there won't be anything until, well, number one, they have to give him some time to see whether this, this Band-Aid actually holds.
Oh, deductive watch. I can't even say that out loud.
Davina Duckworth.
Oh man, that was good.
Oh boy.
But again, this is what I was saying the other day. At this point, there's a lot of accusations. There's a lot of stories. He's been painted as difficult and all these other things, but he has not actually been accused of physically touching anybody yet. So at this point, the only thing he's been charged with is burglary, and he's got some protection orders against him. And I think some of them have already, the time's up on. So at this point, I can see, I'm not surprised of this move. I'm surprised that Warner's considering it still after all this shit, but I'm not surprised by the move. Because this was the first plan to begin with.
Yeah. Do we really believe he feels what is in this?
No, I don't think he's ever going to pay. That's the part that I think most people are pissed off about. And I can see it in the chat, is that he's never going to be held accountable for any of this shit. Ever.
Which is tragic.
Do we need a video? Do we need a video version of this?
It's not even that. I don't think he genuinely feels this. This is not the words of Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is on some other fucking planet right now. He has been saying that. Yeah. I mean, I think he should get some help and all that kind of stuff. But at this point, I think him being an actor, it should be like the farthest thing from anybody's fucking mind at this point. The fact that Warner Brothers doesn't get involved in this is kind of stupid, if you ask me, because Script Doctor made a great point last night. They're taking responsibility for his ass now.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fucking stupid.
Unless
what I'm saying is that
now actually stays on the mat. They are like getting really deep in with him. They're doubling down now. Anyway, Paul, you were saying.
No, I was just going to say they're going to interview him, and then they're going to say, "What do you think about the controversy?" And he says he'll go, "I don't think Alec Baldwin killed the director."
I'm sure he would love to shift the attention.
He'll be like, "I didn't pull the trigger." Wrong.
That's right. That's that. See, I'm working it. See, I'm giving him advice to shift the
narrative a little bit.
Yeah, you shift the narrative.
Shift the blame.
I think he's going to disappear after this.
Yeah, I don't know about a career. What do you think?
A career? Oh, people love resurrection stories. People have been dying for Lindsay Lohan to get her act together, enough to actually get back into business reasonably. But now she's burned out and drugged out and whatever. Although she's doing some new stuff, people love this. This is
the difference here, though. I think I agree with you because like Lindsay, she's one of those people who probably could have like a Robert Downey Jr. comeback. Ezra, I don't think that's in his cards.
Probably
I don't think so.
Not. Although neither of them, I think, have the intellect of Robert Downey Jr.
That's exactly my point.
That's why he was able to do what he did, was because he's actually a smart dude.
Not only that, I mean, he also had a better support group. Lindsay Lohan's family is not a good support group, and Ezra Miller's family is also not.
Doesn't sound like it anyway.
The first thing I saw Ezra Miller in was in Trainwreck with that woman who thinks she's funny. And I immediately said, "There's something wrong with this kid," and lo and behold, here we are. Amy Schumer. That was the
Amy
first.
That's
Schumer,
the one.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Amy Schumer, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was almost called her Melissa McCarthy for a second there, but I don't know
No,
if that'd be an
I've seen Melissa
insult or.
McCarthy on improv. She's funny.
I was just gonna say I don't know if that'd be an insult to Melissa or. I was just gonna say it just because I get there's just some of those times though they all kind of converge in my head. They're all the same. But yeah, Melissa McCarthy is leaps and bounds funnier than she is. But no, I like at this point. Like, it pisses me off because I've seen so many other actors and stuff that have done a lot less and have not gotten the chances this fucking guy has gotten. And I think that's what's rubbing people the wrong way. I really do.
This will be textbook, Tom. I mean, once the movie's out and the dust settles, people are going to be analyzing just, what went on here. And then number two, I don't think anybody wants to go through this again. No one in Zaslav's, he's trying to like, this is it. We're done. Let's get through with this and then move on.
Oh, he's probably already organized a new vetting team for all the casting directors at Warner Brothers. Like, listen, before we cast anybody, do a thorough background check in these people because we are not dealing with this crap again. And
yeah, because that's all he did was inherit problems. Yeah, sorry.
Well, that's going to cost a lot of actors a potential jobs. So,
well, a shit ton of actors are problematic, but there's different levels of coping with them.
There's those that are just problematic in the self-harm, and then there's those that are problematic in the external harm.
Right, and then there's those that this person will open the film, do whatever he wants.
If he wants a giant bowl of Jello to swim in after every take, we get that giant bowl of Jello.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jackie Mason had terrible requests whenever he went out on the stand. I won't get into it. I used to love Jackie Mason until I found out what one of his requests upon arriving at any city.
I don't know about that part, but I do know that a lot of those guys put shit in their. It's not even them half the time putting the shit in their writers, but it's sometimes it's just to make sure that the people are reading the writers too, because that's the whole green M&M thing. I don't know if you remember.
I heard about that. Yeah,
that was they said later on.
Yeah.
Well, to make sure that they follow the safety protocols that were also inside their contracts.
That was the bigger deal because they almost had too many accidents. Yeah, so they caused them to make sure.
So hopefully we're done with Ezra Miller.
I don't know if that has anything to do with Jackie, but yeah.
I hope we're done with it. I don't understand. I don't think I would go see the movie. I wouldn't see a Flash movie starring Ezra Miller. I mean, I have no interest in that.
It's funny you saying that, Paul. So many people are saying it, and that's why I'm not surprised that, they're just not scrapping this at that point. That's why it makes me feel like there's got to be something keeping this movie into play. Right? And then Paulie wanted to hop in here real quick. How you doing, Paulie? To speak a little bit on this, I guess.
Hey, Paulie.
Hey. Buenos dias.
Hey, buenos tacos.
Hey, ¿qué pasó?
Aquí no más. I'm cleaning the house while listening to you guys, and fantastic talk. I just want to say that in regards to I'm just gonna speak very personal here. So August 21st which is coming up, is going to be 7 years of me, no drinking, no drugs. And it is the single hardest fucking thing I have to do every day is this work. And it's work, guys.
Right.
It's work, like whether it's step work or talking to a sponsor, doing. It's just work, right? It's real life. So, this we in Chato and Script Doctor. I'm getting a little emotional here. Let me calm down for a second.
Oh no, get as emotional as you need.
It's okay. You got to be proud of this, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
I just
work,
say
literally.
Yeah, I just say
so
that.
You got a lot of love in the chat.
Yeah.
One is that Script and Chato probably know all too well the leeways Hollywood gives towards people with abuse problems. And it's honored, right? And sometimes there's great stories like Robert Downey Jr. and sometimes there's Anne Heche, because what happened, and God bless her soul, is that That's the worst, one of the worst manifestations of alcoholism is when you drive drunk and you run into something, you know. So I just wanted to say that I obviously am not talking about any of the, you know, alleged crimes and awful things that are, you know, circling around this man. But the only way it's gonna work is if this guy is literally, you know, in rehab. Like, it's not even that. It's once he's out, once that's done, it's like there's just a lot of work he's got to do. And anyone's possible. Anything's possible, right? With recovery, it's possible, you know. But the more that you're enabled by, whether it's a studio, whether it's your parents, because newsflash, our loved ones also enabled us. That's why we have those buttons with family. They're the ones that put them there. That's just the way it is. Like Tom, and I believe everyone here said, is that he just needs to go away, and not go away, but go and do the work on whatever this is, right? Because if it's, and they say this, if it's something that he is capable of working on, then it's possible. If he's in one of those incapable people where
he has to want to too. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's like the thing. He has to want to. That's
Absolutely.
my big question here. Is this genuine? Does it come from him, or is it forced from the studio?
That's what I'm not so sure about. I think this is, sorry.
Okay, so let's say it is. This shit's gonna happen over and over and over. Then it's like, okay, go hold it together until the Flash premiere. That's awful, right? But, you know, I'm not talking about like the awful shit he, you know, as alleged he's done. I'm talking about that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Someone can hold it together for 3 months, 3 years. They take a drink and they're dead in months. That's the way.
I was gonna say, usually they lapse worse, and this comes from somebody also who grew up with an alcoholic. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I just wanted to, right. It's not genuine. It's not. It's gotta be genuine. And when it's genuine, it's a lot of hard work.
You know how it becomes genuine, though? I mean, you bringing this up immediately snapped me to a reality of two people who I'm close with. One is dead.
Yes.
Who, and I know this of other people because I've been to AA and CA meetings, not for myself, but
it's all right, man.
No problem. I was there on support.
That's nice. That's
very,
good.
very proud supporting my peeps. So, but you just made an inadvertent point in that no one I know who recovered didn't hit rock bottom, or whatever their rock bottom was first. So if this is an intervention prior to him hitting whatever his rock bottom is, this is not going to last. That's my
concern too. Yeah, and that's my main issue.
Ollie, I think you've, I don't know what your rock bottom was, but if this is just I've seen it. I've seen two really bad rock bottoms.
Well, let's just say Ezra's rock bottom was this. There's been plenty of rock bottoms that you hear about where they still kept on fucking around.
Yeah.
They still kept it on.
True.
Because at the end of the day, they think that they can control it all. That's what alcoholics do. That's what addicts do. We think we have it under control. And that is the biggest sham in our drinking careers. We don't have fucking anything under control, man. Mom, case in point, right? I wrote down the goal. Romy's gone for the week. I wrote it down. My goal. I want the dogs to still be alive by the time she's here. She comes back. That's a high anxiety thing I have, because it means I got to take care of someone or something else. I got to get out of myself. It's all fucking self. It's self-will run riot. That's all this is. Self-will run riot. I mean, that's Hollywood, but I just wanted to say that I'm not.
I think it's a great point.
I'm not taking any sides with with anything. I'm just speaking from my personal experience.
And I don't think you're making any excuses for Ezra either in that matter.
No, Tom. It's just that if he's really gonna do this, it's a lot of fucking work,
and he's got to want to. That's the thing. Yeah.
And the thing that he's got on his side, a lot of people don't have, right? And even Anne had it. Is that they have what's the word I'm looking for? Because of their status.
Well, they have access to a lot of good,
the best access.
Also, some of the ones that claim to be the best, but really are just there to placate the media. Which I've seen a couple of those ones there.
So I just wanted to pop in, pop out. I really didn't want to, I just felt impelled to just share on that.
I think that's a phenomenal insight that you're bringing to this situation.
Because it's a tragic situation for everyone involved. Anne Hayes, that was a tragic ending. And that happens more often than not. I got, like you said, we're going back to our friends. I got a couple of friends who I'm in fear of their lives because they keep on fucking drinking. And then they'll get behind that wheel and there's nothing you can do. I have grabbed keys from friends, right? And you say, you can't drink here. It's not allowed. That shit. Well, next you blink your eyes, woo, they're gone. They find a way.
The intervention of the rich reminds me of, I know someone who is a doctor who runs a $10,000 a week corporate drug intervention resort in the Muskokas, where companies with highly prized vice presidents don't want to lose them because they're a valuable brain asset, but they are, they have a problem.
They have a problem.
And
you're absolutely right. It's here.
Yep.
It's here. And then it's spiritually.
And then they send them to these $10,000 a week places for as long as needed to get back their $2 million a year exec. Nobody knows this stuff exists. Maybe this is what's happening with Ezra Miller. He'll go to one of these.
And there's a few people in the chat wondering what's going on. Here's the thing. All the stuff that happened in Iceland and the other countries was all dropped. That's why he was never put in jail for any of that stuff.
Right.
I can't remember exactly what happened in Hawaii. I'd have to double check, but I think he was just arrested for disorderlies there. But he's still under investigation in Vermont by Child Protective Services. So that's still something that's hanging over his head. And that's why I'm surprised that Warner is working with him yet on that part. So yeah, he's technically only been charged at this point with felony burglary. That's the only thing that he's been charged with.
So, they have all the great access, right? And there's some success stories, there's not, but there's millions of us who don't have that, right? But we have programs, and those are free programs, and whatever works, you're going to find it works for you. But just going back to that thing of, this is hard work. It is not for the weak-hearted. And, life already has its sufferings, its beauties, its brutalities. But that's the whole part of, like, when you have an abnormality as far as drinking or whatever your ism is. What's that?
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. No, and that's really it. That's all I really wanted to point out. And okay, so in regards to this, I think the people that wrote that are the same people that write all the horrible, the weak ass woke marketing. This is
absolutely.
This is not even a good apology letter. This is like a wokoso apology. It's like, what the so that's one thing. But what's the reality? Where's Homeboy at? I want to see a Homeboy walking into a rehab with his mom hand in hand. See you guys later. I gotta go work on my shit. And that's it. There's a lot to be said for someone who's got an earnest heart, like a Robert Downey Jr., who's been through a lot of shit like Homeboy has, but he's always been a good person, like as far as his personality, as far as his loving nature. I don't know, Ezra. I don't get that feeling from him.
Yeah.
But we we were a lot more open to the comeback, or just we're a lot more empathetic to people like a Robert Downey Jr. So
That's an interesting point. I mean, I know Robert Downey Jr.'s history. I've seen movies of his previous to it. And when I saw Tropic Thunder, I was rooting for him. Like I'm going, wow, I hope this works.
Yeah.
I was like that with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I was really impressed with him, his comeback in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Val Kilmer. But one of the caveats that we have here is we don't know. I mean, based on the public statement, we don't know that his issues are substance dependence, or because he's saying serious mental health issues, which means that it might be something out of his control. He might require medication and long-term observation.
Yeah,
right? Even
which is something we pointed out before.
Right.
Is like if he is on drugs, it could be a mental issue that it's just exacerbating or whatever.
I think that's the case, because we have also gotten numerous reports of, especially from Iceland and stuff like that. I mean, there was plenty drugs and alcohol. Same thing with his farm in Vermont, all stuff like that. I mean, there's definitely some drug use involved. But I do agree with you, Tom, that just may be top of the mountain and just exasperating some other issues. And I do think that he may have been enabled by everyone around him, including all of the media that addresses him in certain ways. I don't think that is helpful.
Yeah, so it's a good point, because the drugs, the drinking, the weirdo behavior that you see is the end result. What's the core? Right? Is it mental? Is it spiritual? What is the sickness? And can it be helped? So that's,
and I think, well, I mean, those are things that need to be addressed. But then after all that, his predilection towards younger people definitely needs to be addressed. That again, and this is,
man.
There's never been any actual physical accusations, but there's been more than enough smoke, let's say, around some of these things that something needs to be kind of figured out with this guy. I mean, he better, like at this point, Warner better hope there is no more skeletons in this closet waiting to jump out.
Well, they're not going to send him to the Michael Jackson Hospital of Recovery.
And I mean, they have. When is it currently scheduled to release the Flash? Summer,
June 23rd, I think, is the date.
So they've got basically 10 months and change before, hoping that Ezra doesn't get into the news again in a negative way.
It's gonna happen. If this is bullshit, which I think we're all kind of like, and he's not getting help, my dog's losing it. It's gonna happen.
I still think that next is going to be a Waco style shootout.
Well, I hope not, Andre, for everybody's
sake.
I know where Paulie's coming from. Here's the problem is if they're if he's half-assed being, okay, let's say for instance, this was an intervention of some type with his mom being around and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised. And if they are basically kind of half-assed forcing him into this, even if he does seem like he's going in willingly, Paulie is right. It's going to just go 10 times worse once he gets out.
We are in the situation where Ezra is literally driving him to, Ezra's mom is driving him to the rehab center, throw him out of the car before slowing down, and then take off and just leave him on the front steps for the medical facility to drag him into the white padded room, drug him up, and say, okay, we're going to keep you out of the news sphere for the next 10 months. It's not going to do any good for him. It's not going to do any good for the movie. It's not going to do any good for anybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to take off. I just, I appreciate you guys giving me
Paulie, we support you 100%. You got tons of support in the chat, and thank you for bringing this part of the into the conversation. It is important and needs to be addressed. And Waddle Dee's Nuts actually says with $4.99, hey Paulie, congratulations on your 7th year anniversary. Hope you rest well, knowing it's all good. Also, thank you for recommending La Bamba. Can't wait. There you go.
Yeah,
and
man.
If you're feeling lousy one morning and you need some support, don't fucking call me.
I can barely handle your email, so I'm just playing. I love the correspondence with the people that we're hanging out with. It's really cool. Thank you guys. And again, it's coming from just inexperience, I got the scars. I just wanted to like share that.
And we also had one from Paulus playing here as well for you, by the way. It
Oh,
just says,
okay.
I love you, Paulie, with love from Norway. I just want to make sure you saw it. There you go.
Thank you. Gracias. We'll see you guys later. Much love, everybody.
Sayonara.
Take care.
Sayonara. Bye.
Take care.
Yeah. And then this was actually a pretty good question for the panel. With respect to people who struggle with addiction, do you think this might just be a PR by Warner linking Ezra to addiction as a means to still put out the Flash? I think the point is they're distancing him from addiction. They're setting up a mental issue. And I said that, like, and I don't know if you caught this logic, Finest, you might have come in late, but Andrew, one of our buddies over at Legal Mindset, was bringing up this point that they're kind of setting Ezra up to use the insanity plea. And I think that's where this whole intense mental crisis is coming from. So they're not even really admitting to any.
Well, the big danger is that this becomes a really tasteless exercise.
Yes, that's the issue I have too.
Then it's really bad.
Because you're right. Warner Brothers being involved in this, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Because as I pointed out again earlier, Script pointed out, this means they're taking responsibility now, and that's not good for them. Because then if he fucks up, it's on them.
Yep.
Yeah. And
if he goes and kills somebody or kills himself, sorry.
And what have I been saying since Zaslav took over? The next couple of years at Warner Brothers Discovery are going to be very tumultuous times. He's going to make a lot of mistakes before he figures out where he's going to go. And it's going to be a tough thing because it's a far larger endeavor than what he's been doing with Discovery. He's got to learn a whole new set of rules on the feature film side of things, a whole new set of rules of how these larger producers with more connections and experience are going to try to manipulate him in ways so that they can have a good foothold in Warner Brothers and use their money for their own personal financial gains. It's going to be a lot of people are seeing him as like not experienced enough or not smart enough, but there's going to be pushback to that. And that's where we're going to get some turn against him and then some lauding for whatever actions he pulls off. That's a win for the studio, but it's not going to be an easy ride. It's going to be a difficult one. And once, I guess, this fall is when we start seeing some of the results of his mandates for reshoots and rewrites of some of the pictures that are coming out this year. And from that, we're going to see if he's headed in the right direction or if he's just repeating the same mistakes that put Warner Brothers in the bad position they've been in for the last 10 years.
Yeah. And I highly doubt that this, and I would even like it if they were putting up some kind of incentive for him to get better, because in that case, that's just setting him up for more failure, and it's disingenuous on their part. Again, I don't like it. This is one of the few moves. If Zaslav did make this choice and he's involved in this, I wholeheartedly disagree with it, and I think they should have stayed out of it completely. And because it was on Ezra to do this for himself. Because at this point, like I said last night, I don't think he has a career after this. He's fighting for his life, as far as I'm concerned at this point. And he needs to worry about that shit first, and hope to God that he doesn't have any victims out there that are worse off than the ones we know of.
Yeah. But you say that he's fighting. I don't know that he's fighting at all. I think that he's fighting the cause for creating his own cult. And
he is. But I mean, let me rephrase that. People around him are fighting for his career because they are at risk of losing things. That's I
agree with.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that I see it, if I was in Warner Brothers' position, I would disavow Ezra, I would cancel the movie, and then I would sue him for the budget because they cost us this film that they invested so many years in, and because of his public actions. His actions have been detrimental to the production, and I would take him to court.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is at this point, if I was Zaslav, it's like, I hope the best for this kid, and this is the public statement I would have made as him. I hope the best for this kid, but we can't be saddled with this problem anymore, right? And basically, like, we're done with this. You know, I'm sorry, Ezra Miller, but you're no longer welcome in the DC universe. Get some help. Hopefully you get better. Goodbye.
And they have they have enough evidence of the video footage circling around of his behavior to warrant such a termination of relations. So, I mean, it doesn't even matter if he's been charged or convicted with anything at this point. It's just his behavior that's been recorded and shared in full context, mind you. It does not look good for the brand.
Exactly. And that's why everybody in the chat is rightfully going like, what the fuck? You know, he's done this. Why isn't he in jail? That's the thing. He's gotten away with it at this point. And there's a few people in that recent expose who said the same thing. They feel like Ezra has gotten this far due to his privilege, whether it's the skin color or the privilege of his sexual preference, let's say.
Well, let's put it this way. If we had a former network executive here, and I were to ask him, if any of your stars acted this way, and this was just your normal white actor acting this way, traveling around the world, being a nuisance.
Let's call him Gel Mibson.
Yeah, let's do that. Just a regular white actor, young, handsome white actor doing this. What kind of lengths would the studio go to protect this one white actor doing all this kind of stuff?
So I've never experienced anything this wretched. So I could extrapolate, but I'll tell you that the things I did have to deal with were bad enough. Like actors hating each other after the first 4 tapings, and having to deal with one actor purposely trying to make the other actress's life absolutely miserable. It's just nonstop. And that was difficult enough to deal with. And you're trying to finish the series and keep people vaguely happy, stop the lead actress from bursting into tears every time she finishes a take and goes off set. I had to deal with all that.
And I'm sure the last thing you want to do is actually fire somebody no matter what.
And there was nothing. I mean, you're rolling. I mean, I think some of these things also happen because the actors know that they're locked into a contract. They got to finish the production. So they're going to be assholes until the very end and then apologize maybe later. I'm telling you, just those things caused such enormous
sounds like high school
grief for me that I cannot imagine this Ezra level. That's my answer. I can't. I admit suicide.
Well, and I gotta imagine as a showrunner or an executive, the last thing you want to do is fire one of your actors, right? Because that's a public nightmare.
Yep,
public relations nightmare.
And I submit that in this day and age, being white is not the shield that it's made up to be.
Oh, no. Fuck no. And that's my whole point of why I used a very unknown but decent actor, Gel Mibson, as a name here, because for that specific reason. Because you're right. Look at if this was anybody else, I agree with you, Andre, on this. If this was Chris Pratt, if this was Chris Pine, if this was any of the Chris's, or
let's go with Chris Pratt, who they're trying to cancel.
Who they're trying to cancel anyway. Exactly.
Yeah, like he's just waking.
This would have been.
He's waking up in the morning, reading his morning newspaper, checking his Twitter feed, and they're like trying to cast him. He's like, "What? No, I didn't even do anything." Well, they were reminded that you existed for something. That's enough.
Oh, they are desperate to find a smoking gun.
Oh yeah,
for Chris Pratt. There was some article where the headline had woke in it and referenced Chris Pratt commenting on the press. When you actually read what he said, he never said woke at all. That was just the headline, but a whole shit ton of left-wingers just attributed Chris Pratt.
All he's got to do is breathe funny and they go after him.
That's it. That's all he has to do is cut some cheese.
Yeah.
And they're on him like a ton of bricks. And
if he farted, that would be enough for him to get the death sentence. I mean, Jesus. He'd be dead.
I'm glad Mike has an anti-fart filter.
No, but I agree. Like, that's the thing is, and at this point, it is all to do with his pronouns, let's say, than it has anything to do with anything else.
Other than that, I hear that Ezra Miller is actually a very charming person on the set. I've not heard anything about him in terms of.
I
sure?
have.
Have you?
Are you sure?
I was gonna say that latest expose did not paint a very good picture. In
I
fact,
didn't
some
read it.
people.
No, that's the second expose. Where
Yeah, the
basically
second
they're
one.
saying
Yeah,
that
Okay, I take it all back.
we've
Because,
had two exposes saying that he's walking around rambling like a weirdo, saying he doesn't know where he is or what he's doing, spaced out of his mind, and making people feel not safe.
yeah. In fact, an actual, I think it was a production manager, put their name to this. They actually admitted their name to this. This is one of the few people who put their name to it. Said that they had to call his people because the other actors were not feeling safe.
Yeah, and this
Around
was a
Mr.
feminist
Miller.
movie, and he came in
Yeah.
and he smelled like crap, poor personal
Yeah.
hygiene, dressed like a clown, and and
Also-
made all the ladies on set feel unsafe.
And I'm not trying to laugh about it, but
No,
it's just I can't believe
that's
they
nothing,
let
yeah.
it get to this point. That's the problem.
And it was even worse on the set of The Stand, where you also had an extra that was named, and the stories were basically, well, just imagine all the stuff that Jared Leto tried to do to be method, to get into character as the Joker. Well, Ezra did the homeless bum variety of that in The Stand, and he also made people feel unsafe and everything. So not giving a good name to method actors.
And Amber Heard worked on that movie too, by the way.
Which is
So
why
if that tells you anything.
which is why the studios like British actors, because they turn it on and off. It's just a job.
Yeah.
None of this stupid American bullshit Stanislavski shit.
Well, and let's be real. Here's the problem with the hygiene thing: is that's either a sign of mental illness or just being a fucking hippie.
Yeah. I get the
Sorry,
hip-
you were
One,
gonna say
and I
something.
will say one does not have to rule out the
This
other.
is true. And you were going to say something, Script. I'm sorry.
I'll just say that in Canada we have a number of acting coaches that do not like the method of that nature. They're a bit more British style. One of the ones who I've dealt with who worked with Eric McCormick and Keanu Reeves was Louis Bowmander, and he doesn't take that type of crap. If you try to go method on him, he will knock you out of it verbally. There's a reason why those guys are pretty good actors, even though we're not getting as much from Eric McCormick as I'd like, because he is a fantastic actor. Keanu Reeves is doing well. He takes his stuff seriously, but he doesn't go method. He's just like, I gotta be authentic, which is, the course of action you want to do. You want to be authentic, but you don't have to be method to be authentic.
Well, Keanu just plays Keanu.
Yeah, pretty much. He's got his brand, that's for sure.
He does. And he's a nice guy. I have to go, guys. I have a meeting at 2:30.
All right. Well,
Might
thank
see
you
you
for
on
being
Friday.
here, Paul.
Before you
we'll
go,
be
let's
glad
just
to
check
see
real
you.
quickly if there were any super chats aimed at you.
Double check. Yes, we got one for here from Gabriel. If you want to read that one for me quick while I keep looking at it.
Paul, thank you for man-child video. Bravo, sir. Thank you, Gabriel Quiorga.
So there you go. Yes, people have been enjoying your video, and rightfully so. It's a great video.
I have another,
and you have a sequel to it now.
Video coming out. Hail! Midnight Edge. Paul, did you mean the swimsuit spectacular?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. They did do a swimsuit issue of the Marvel ladies once.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah,
hey, it was like a long time ago when.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah,
it's not allowed anymore. No, I meant
She-Hulk was one of the main attractions. Yeah,
bikini hauls. I meant the bikini haul videos.
Yeah, I knew what you meant, but they actually did that.
I don't get that. Isn't that like what a boyfriend has to do or a spouse has to do when they watch their girlfriend or significant other have to try things on at the
pretty much
the mall?
It's the same thing, but in front of a camera.
I don't like doing that in real life. Why would I want to watch it?
Well, here's the thing, Script, and I know Paul's got to go, so I'm not going to drag this out, but the basic idea of a lot of these thoughts and these other video girls is they're replacing the idea of a girlfriend. It's kind of what it is. I know.
It's thoughts.
But
they are thoughts.
In this day and age, I don't blame some of these guys. They're afraid to actually talk to women anymore.
Well, welcome to Geeks and Nerds.
Well, it's not even that part, Paul. It's the fact that they're worried about getting fucking accused of something.
Yeah, so it's not a fear of rejection, it's a fear of accusation.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
I gotta
this
go.
was one of the major
later, Paul.
points of sorry, but Paul, thanks for joining us.
See you on Friday, maybe.
See you on Friday.
Please, if you can.
Yeah.
All right.
But
you were saying, Andre.
But just to finish the thought then, was that, that was like one of the main takeaways that I saw of the whole Me Too movement. It didn't start out that way, but it ended with men, you're not allowed to hit on women in any way, shape, or form. No dating. That's what I saw. Was the
Yeah,
end
and
point
this
of it.
actually bled into the working world, where I've been hearing a lot of people where they don't even want to be working with women, especially alone. So it's all backfire. The whole movement is backfiring. There's
Well,
some
it
people now
was. I don't know
and
how
I
to
can't
say
even,
that right
I can't
now,
even,
but-
and because it's illegal as fuck. I'll tell you this, and I even told them that, and they know it. But there's some people now who have said that if a remotely attractive woman comes in for a job, they will not hire them because of that reason. I know it's bullshit, but it's like at this point, it's backfiring in their faces. It's like, well, I wouldn't do that or admit it if I were
Unfortunately,
you,
it's
but
backfiring in the faces of people that had nothing to do with the thing.
exactly. And it's just become a whole mess at this point. But yeah, sorry we missed this one earlier. Mr. Ticket Chunky says the whole time Chris was talking, I kept thinking, don't you give up hope, Chris. Don't you do it. This is a wait and see, love, hurry, but love, hooray optimism. Sorry I didn't get that when he was still here, Mr. Tickle Trunk, but I'm sure he saw it at some point, maybe. If not, maybe I'll make sure he gets that. Mute Gamer says, what's your guys' opinion on Paramount teaming with Walmart to have Paramount Plus bundled with Walmart Plus? Could it be a shot in the arm Paramount needs? This is a very interesting move. I haven't been able to research this too much, but it is a good move for probably both parties involved. Because what it'll do is get Walmart back into the streaming game, which they were into with Vudu and got out of. And it'll also get Paramount a new platform to spread Paramount Plus on. And with some of the moves they've been making, this could be a good move for them. I don't know what you guys think, but
I've never heard of Walmart Plus.
Walmart Plus is basically the same as Amazon Plus. So like
Amazon.
Well, where you actually get the free shipping and stuff. So what they're trying to do now is compete with Amazon, I bet, by using Paramount Plus instead of trying to create their own streaming service within Walmart, their app. Because you know how Amazon or Prime, that's what I mean, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Because Amazon Prime, you get the free shipping in the US, plus you get the video side of things for one price. I think that's what Walmart's up to here. Does that make sense?
That makes more sense because
so they're trying.
I've never heard of Walmart actually trying to produce or finance.
No, and that's what they're not even going to bother.
Media, other than just getting ad placements or whatever.
Yeah, and they're not even going to bother here. What they're doing then is they're bringing Paramount in to do that for them. So they'll be able to compete with Amazon on that level now, is what I think is going to happen. Because, Walmart basically has the same kind of plan as Amazon Prime, but they don't have a video side of things. They used to have a deal, because they used to own Vudu, which is basically a video on demand service. And they used to have deals with that, but it wasn't a straight streaming service. And they sold that to Fandango a couple of years back. So the closest thing you had to that was you could do a disc to digital thing where you would actually buy the digital version and they would send you a disc in the mail through Walmart. And then that's the way they used to do it. So, but this is, I think, 100% to compete with Amazon. I don't know if Andre knows anything about it. Clearly, Script hasn't
I
really
know
heard
nothing
much,
about it. I only heard your description right now, but based on that description, it sounds like a solid idea. I approve.
I think it's a good move for both parties involved, actually. I'm not a fan of Walmart, but if you're going to compete with Amazon, you got to do something like that.
Yeah, that does not sound bad at all.
And Amazon now has gone up from 30 to 40% of their users actually realizing, hey, I can watch videos on here.
Oh, that's
Did you know that's fucked up? Like less than half of the people that actually have Amazon Prime use the video side of things.
Well, given how many people have Amazon Prime and what they use it for, I'm honestly not surprised.
It's gone up finally. Like it used to be like in the 20 to 30 percentile. Now it finally jumped up to 40% this last year. But yeah, that's still over half of the people that have it don't even use it. So that's half the audience that they're not even getting that they could have. So when they say they have all these people signed up for Amazon, that's what they're counting, all those people, just so you know. So, yeah. keep that in mind with all these ratings and stuff when they say that kind of shit. Lord Pepsi says it's possible to highlight but not amplify woke. I don't know if I agree with that necessarily, because this whole last few years has been nothing but amplification of woke, I would say. But I guess I'm not sure what you're referring to, I guess, at the time, so I don't want to say you're wrong, per se.
I'm guessing it has to do with the She-Hulk discussion, but...
It could have been, because it was from 1207. I think Chris was gone already, but... if you can elaborate a little bit, Lord Pepsi, will gladly respond, but I can't really respond much more than that because I'm not sure which part of the conversation you're actually referring to. So, but in general, I don't necessarily agree with it. But thank you for the support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we got John Apocalypse says, "Want bad CGI? Watch Blade 1 and 2. Great movie still." Yeah, that was one issue I had when I popped in the 4K of Blade. The movie looks great. The CGI looks horrible. It's one of the worst dated CGIs I've ever seen. Yeah. I haven't seen the second one in a while, though. I thought the effects in that one was pretty good. But it's been a few years. Do you have the 4K of Blade yet, Andre?
I do not.
Script?
I don't have 4K of anything.
You don't 4K of anything? Oh, that's right.
Why? Blu-ray is fine. I don't need to get any better than that.
All right. If it makes you happy. Darius Munchausen says, no auto-tune on I Look Good on... Well, yeah, there's a little bit. But it's there purposefully. It's during the chorus. Like, to make it sound like one of those kind of songs. So it was intentionally done that way. And even then, evidently, I'm not singing bad enough that it did the effect I wanted it to. I had to do it like 2-3 times just to get a little bit of the blah, blah, blah kind of effect on it. So I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with that shit. If that shows anything. Frightful Fest of Fears, that's a hell of a name. Says, I think it's telling that Ezra didn't say a darn thing. Yeah, it was his PR team, so he couldn't be bothered, like another YouTube apology vid scripted.
Oh, I think that's a dig at Will Smith.
Probably. At least Will went out there, but it was too little too late at that point. But no, I agree with you 100%. Unless I hear something coming from Ezra, I want to feel the genuine I want to feel that this guy genuinely wants help. Because otherwise, I don't think it's going to work.
You know what I also want? I want him to address exactly the nature of his mental thing and take distance from it. Because I don't know. But but my speculation, this is pure speculation, might have a little bit something to do with the social justice and going a little bit too far with that. I would love to see the response of the media if he were to say something to that end.
Yeah. And then we got Jesus Davila, who sent us a thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up. We appreciate that. Darth Plato sent us a member chat and says, sounds like Ezra should have been cast for Moon Knight. Oh, maybe. And then we had another member chat earlier. Let me see if I can find it here. I think it was in the mod group. We've got, where'd it go? I know it was here. Morgan King, who's been a member for 12 months. Happy birthday. Says, is it worth getting Disney Plus? Well, we kind of asked that earlier. I think you asked that in a super chat as well. And the answer was not just for one show. And speaking of birthdays, is there a birthday that we have to acknowledge, Andre?
Yes, there is. There is a birthday we have to acknowledge. And that is our own Wrench Supreme, Natasha, whose birthday it is today. So I just want to say happy birthday and thanks for everything you do for keeping everyone on toes at all times. That is much, much appreciated. So happy birthday, Natasha.
Well, it seems like she may have already left, but if she listens to this on the replay, happy birthday and thank you for all the hard work you do. And yeah, we've had a few birthdays in the mod group this last few weeks here, so that's kind of cool.
That is very cool. Yeah.
So hopefully she does check this out and see all the the wishes in the chat and stuff.
And,
So thank you.
we
For
have
that,
we have the best mods around. I'm
Yes,
so happy
indeed.
with every single one. So yeah, thanks to you all for
Absolutely.
everything you do. We wouldn't be the same without. And
All right.
with that, actually, there was like one more thing, because we got something that I kind of halfway promised.
Mhm.
We got some pictures, and even now recently, a trailer for Wednesday, the most recent iteration of
Oh,
the
good Lord.
Addams
I haven't
Family.
watched the trailer yet, but I do have the pictures.
Yeah, so let's just give our quick reactions on that.
There is the one of the images that recently was brought out. And for those who don't know, the show's called Wednesday. It is about Wednesday, I believe, who's entering college. So the show is more focused on her, but it also stars Luis Guzman as Gomez and Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia. And I just got to say this. I love Luis Guzman. Love him to death. And he may actually look a little bit more like the actual original comic version of Gomez. I just don't see him pulling this off. And same thing with Catherine. She's just not who I would have picked for this role. And I'm with Script on this, like he said last night, and I think I said way back when this was first announced. I would have, if they're gonna make Wednesday grow up, why didn't they just get Christina Ricci and have her play the character again? It just, to me, it makes no sense.
All I know is that I'll be very disappointed if this show doesn't premiere on Wednesdays.
I would hope they have that at least.
Good point.
Well, she's Wednesday's child. Let me put it to you this way. I have a little bit more hope for this than I do Rob Zombie's fucking disaster that's going to be Munsters. But I think Script Doctor and I came up with a better show last night than what this is going to end up being. Script, do you want to go ahead and give your reaction to it?
Yeah, it looks, I mean, the set photos look far more appealing than the Munsters, so I'm not worried yet. So yeah, I'm willing to watch it, see where they take it.
And as for me, let me preface by saying I have never been a fan of either the Addams Family or the Munsters. Like, I get it, but I don't get it, and it's never been for me. So this is this is a point of view of someone who has never ever been a fan, who was aware of this while growing up, but that has absolutely zero, and I mean zero, affection towards it. So I really don't care what happens, other than I, as a principle, want the spirit of the original source material to be respected. From what I've seen of the original source material, Guzman kind of looks a little bit like the original character, more so than those that have played him before. For that reason, plus Guzman is awesome. He's so awesome in everything. He was like one of the best parts in The Count of Monte Cristo, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Yes, that's the one with Henry Cavill when he was young.
No, Guzman's great in everything he does.
Yeah. I'm very willing to give this a chance. I'm more worried about like the whole Wednesday angle and that she's gonna have a too big a part of it. That's what I am worried about with this.
Yeah. See, here's the thing: is even though Guzman may look like the Gomez we know in the comics, which most people don't even know of, Raul Julia is the one that really kind of captured most people's hearts when it comes to Gomez.
Absolutely. I mean, he was perfect. But here's the thing. Oh yeah, sorry. Carry on, Tom.
Well, I was just gonna say, because we brought this up last night. John Ashton, he does it with a bit of a mean-spirited wink in his eye when he plays the character. Right? He's a bit aware of how he's doing this stuff, and he's over the top. Raul Julia, on the other hand, plays it with a pure innocence. And not only that, he also knew that when the way to make it work was, you know, he's basically a big man child and he loves everybody and everything, especially Morticia. Morticia, his world stops the moment she enters the room. And I can't remember if it was him or the director or something like that who said that the whole thing is whenever anytime they had a scene, that the whole motivation was he had to act like he had not seen her in years every time he saw her. Like that was his whole thing. Like it was like, you know, he just got the idea of who this character was. He was blissfully ignorant of the world. And it didn't matter because he was happy because he had his perfect family, right? Like that was who Gomez was. He was, you know, he's just he's not like Herman in that sense. Like Herman's just a doofus. You know, Gomez is brilliant. He's smart, but he just doesn't give a shit about what anybody thinks about him. And he loves just being who he is and his family. And Raul really captured that more so. And I'm afraid that Guzman's not going to get that. I hope he does. But there's never been anything in Guzman's past work to lead me to believe that he's going to be able to capture what I think Gomez has to be. And maybe even John Ashton was great, but I'd even go as far as to say Tim Curry might have even been the second best Gomez we ever had. Even though I hate that fucking movie, he did capture Gomez pretty good. But Raul Julia is the one in most people's eyes that you've got to live up to. And I'm afraid Guzman's not going to be able to do that. Same thing with Catherine Zeta, right? Like, I mean, Angelica Houston, come on. There's no competition there.
Well, I think that these two, they can be tremendously good in their own right. And what I will say, what you said about Raul Julia's interpretation, how every time he saw Morticia was as if it was like the first time he saw it in years. Look at those two. Look at Guzman, and then look at Morticia here. I can well believe that we're going to get something like this guy is so appreciative that this woman would ever look twice at him. I mean, they have to be going for that.
But that's not what Gomez is, though.
Okay, yeah, well, then I don't know.
That's the thing is he's blissfully
I don't know what Gomez is supposed to be.
He's unaware of the fact that he's ugly. Like, that's the whole point. Like, he is just debonair and suave when it comes to her. But also at the same time, it's just the fact that he worships the ground she walks on, right? Like, that's the whole thing. I mean, and blissfully ignorant is maybe not the right term to use, but, you know, regardless, like most people have been saying, the look is okay. It's just the damn wig is bugging them. And I can see that because the wig looks weird, right? It's hanging off the front of his head. It's looking funky. But the rest of the cast looks okay. I think they could have done a little bit more with Morticia's look there. It looks a little too simple. But I'm just not sold on her as Morticia either. But we'll see. I'll give this one a better chance than I will the Munsters. And I'm a bigger Addams Family fan by far, if you can't tell, right? Like this is for me the one that I was kind of looking forward to, and then more and more we heard about it, I'm just like, oh. So I'm like, yeah, Tim Burton, Addams Family, that makes sense. Because I mean, the whole joke of both the Addams Family and Munsters, Andre, if you can't really quite figure, and this is why I'm kind of surprised the Addams Family.
This is one thing I do know. I do know that the Addams Family, they are upper class, whereas the Munsters are working class. That's one thing I do know.
Well, there's that aspect to it, and I'm not surprised that you would pick that out. But like, I'm surprised that not the Munsters, but the Addams Family isn't bigger in Norway, just because of the whole kind of like, you know, death metal goth kind of thing to them. Because that's kind of what they are. They know who they are. They know exactly what they are, and they're just making fun of everybody else. To where the Munsters, it's the opposite. They have no idea that they are the monsters they are, right? They think they're just normal people, and you know, everybody else is just ugly.
I thought both thought that.
No, the Addams Family is kind of more or less aware of what they're doing. I mean, they have their own way of doing things is more or less what it is. Like, they just relish and live and dwell in the idea. They love the macabre. Like, it's like they totally like, it's weird how to explain it, but like that 90s movie, I think captured it best. The old show really did a great job too, but the old show is still kind of tongue in cheek in a way. The old the 90s show movies played it completely straight with the Addams Family. And that's why it works. I mean, Script could probably tell it better than me, but I don't think he's that big of a fan. He hasn't said much, but I know he's got to go. So
No, I like the Addams Family, but I never got too into the monsters.
yeah, see, so yeah, like I'm trying to think of a better way to explain this to you than I don't know. The monsters are basically just kind of making fun of the fact that they're unaware that they're scary, right? The Addams Family would love the fact that you're scared. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
trying to scare you.
Right. They're trying to freak you out.
Yes.
For some giggles.
They want a reaction. Yes. But at the same time, they don't care, right? Like this is who they are. They're not going to change for anybody. Fuck you. Right? Like to where like the monsters, that was kind of the whole joke, was that Herman would always try to fit in some way, and it just wouldn't work for him, right? You catch him trying to do like a normal Joe job, and he just wouldn't look right in the uniform. Kind of that was the joke, right? But anyway, it's to each his own. It's one of those things. We got a few more super chats to get through. I don't know if you guys had anything else to say about the Addams Family. I know I went on too long there, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm willing to give it a chance. Don't have any strong feelings whatsoever, but willing to give it a chance.
Indeed.
And I
don't get me
felt
wrong.
like rewatching the original.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I think you'd be better off giving the movies a shot again, if anything. Like I think you'd maybe appreciate those more
because
now.
originally it was like a comic strip, right?
Yes, it was originally a comic strip.
Which I've never ever read. That's like I don't know the original. That's like why I feel like lost with it.
It was kind of a lot like do you know the comic strip Gary Larson did?
Yes, The Far Side.
Far Side.
That was huge in Norway.
Yeah, it's kind of that kind of a humor in a way. So like yeah, you might do yourself a favor and check out some of the comic strips ahead of time. And then I wouldn't jump right into the 60s television show though. That's the thing. I love it, but it's not the thing I recommend people get into first. Because it takes a little bit of getting into, but yeah,
Wasn't
the two
there, like,
movies
this
from
cartoon of them like moving around like this RV or something.
They did have a few animated versions, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Now, I'm not even talking about the latest animated version either.
Oh, this is like an ancient one.
But I haven't even watched this
70s
trailer yet, so I have no idea what I'm getting myself into here. So I should probably go watch the trailer while you grab a couple super chats.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. And Script, you got to go? Well, maybe he's gone already.
I'd say he might be.
What? No, sorry, I was just stretching.
Yeah, all right.
So you might have a few minutes
if
left.
If you have to go, I'll just let me know. But meanwhile, Matthew W says for $5, Ezra is going to get a job working for Alec Baldwin's production crew. Yeah, but on which side of the gun? Is always the question there. And you have Professor Gray asking for, or saying for $5, what are the chances Ezra slips his leash and sinks this whole thing by acting out again? Because if anyone thinks he's willing to do this...
The more time between now and the release of The Flash is the more time he's got opportunities to dig himself deeper.
I mean, how many months between now and the movie's release? Like, it's 6-7 months? Is that what
10
it is
and change.
right now?
If it's coming out in June, so yeah, about 10 months.
10 months. Oh my God, that's a long time. That's a long time for...
See how much he's done in the last 6 months. I mean, it's just, yeah.
It's a long time for someone like this to try to stay clean. I'm going to give it more than 50% chance that he's going to slip up. Unless Warner are able to physically lock him into a padded facility, unless they have 2 Hulk-sized security guards watching him at all times that physically stop him from doing something. Could they do that? Could they pay for like round the clock security detail?
They can, and they might need
watch him, but to make sure that he doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, because they might have to, because he's got a movie premiering at the Toronto International Film Festival in a few weeks, and he's supposed to be there in attendance. So I would assume that he would have a security detail to make sure he doesn't stray too far from the red carpet.
Yeah, because I think that the only way that works is if there's security there on top of him at absolutely all times, and they're not really there to protect him from the public, but the public from him. If that were to happen, then I think they're going to be fine. If not, forget it.
Why didn't somebody warn me about this trailer?
Well, Tom, let's hear it.
I don't know what to think. It's like they went over the line. There's the line where the Addams Family goes, and you can't step over it. They stepped over it, and they went a little too far.
Did they step over it, or did they take a pole and jump over it?
I don't know yet. I have to see the show. Because I like the piranha bit until we actually see the bite and the blood. That's the thing. You can't, if there's blood, it has to be fake. You can't make it too real.
And I would imagine there's going to be some repercussions from that. It's going to be difficult to deal with for even the Addams. I mean, in real life, if someone comes and slips piranhas into like a school swimming pool with loads of people in it, in full view, in front of everyone, there's going to be some repercussions.
Yeah, that's just it. She would do that, but the way they played it out wouldn't normally go that way. You wouldn't see that. It would just be something's off about it. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It's too grounded. I don't know.
Well, to keep it simple, then, you are not completely sold on the trailer. I don't care, and we're both going to give it a shot then.
Yeah, I agree, says World Finest. Implied notion of it was good, a bit of dark comedy, but even for Addams Family was too much. Yeah. She would, the whole idea, she would do something like that, but you wouldn't show it like that. That just the way they did it. Because that bit actually plays into part of what we were kind of pitching last night, which is kind of funny, but you can't show that shit. It's too much. But anyhow, yeah, I guess we'll see. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, Polly's the best. Sub to Latino slant. Yes, do that.
Yes, indeed. Polly's amazing. And everyone, please go and support both the Latino slant and Midnight's Edge Espanol. They do amazing stuff over there, and there's plenty more cool stuff to come.
Yeah, and Six is pointing out, yes, I know the blood is fake. But I mean, like in the movie when they do the whole play and they have like blood shooting everywhere because it's fake blood. That's a little different than actually seeing true blood letting, right? Because we were joking last night that the shit that Wednesday puts Pugsley through, he'd be dead 10 times over. But they don't ever really show it. That's the whole point.
But he's an Addams too, right?
Yes.
I'll grant them some special immortality, healing power, something like that, but I won't grant that to everyone else in that pool.
I always went by the idea, because we normally don't actually see the result, is that something always ends up going wrong that fucks it up for Wednesday. That's what I always just implied in my head. We just don't see it, you know?
Yeah, like she never actually successfully electrocutes him.
Exactly. And he's always usually game for it anyway. That's the thing. So it's like,
because it feels like he maybe have this good luck streak behind him, where it's like no matter what she does to him, he always kind of walks away unharmed. And
exactly.
That would be funny. That would be quite hysterical.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, because what we were, the show we pitched, because like, it looks like she's in high school, not college, I guess, too, by the way. But because the show we kind of came up with real quick was that instead of it being this show that they've got, it would be Pugsley grows up, gets married, and basically becomes a normal guy. So Wednesday can't handle that. So she tries to kill his wife. So the whole show is her attempting and failing, like the Coyote and the Roadrunner, basically through the whole thing. Like,
and the wife has no clue what's happening.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the whole thing. Like, that's the joke, right? Like, it's they don't seem to get it. It's like they kind of get it in this trailer, but it's like they just went too far. You know, it really is. I think that's the best way. It's like a Wile E. Coyote kind of thing, right? You can't actually see somebody get hurt, right? Outside of just cartoon humor. It just doesn't work otherwise in this sense.
Even Fester, he gets a little zap and then he puts a light bulb in his mouth, and that's as far as it goes.
Yeah. Like Fester's another one, kind of like with Pugsley, where they can take a beating and they end up enjoying it. But yeah. I don't know. We'll see here on this note. I like Tim Burton, but he hasn't been Tim Burton since 2000. Mr. Tickle Trunk is also sends us a member chat here. Darth Plato has been a member for 16 months at the crime level. Oh, we already read this one, but thank you for posting that one, Mr. Tickle Trunk. Then we got Master Clockwork, who says we need some levity. So Tom, do your best Skeletor, please. Oh, let me see. I can actually add a little echo to this here.
Yes, we'll win this game the old-fashioned way, the tried and true way. We'll cheat.
How's that?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, good.
Did it work? Huh? All right. And then happy birthday, lovely Natasha, party hardy, says Jillian N. And yes, hopefully she'll check in later to see all the birthday wishes. We alerted her to the fact. Snell's World says Adam's Family trailer looks better than the Munsters trailer. I will give it that. It has potential, but it seems like they went too far in the trailer, which makes me worry so much about the rest of the show. So yeah. Mecha J says Tim Burton is producing the show, so I'm willing to give it a chance. Yeah, I was until we'll see. Okay, so did we ever get to this? We did get a response to this one, or
I think he's that's asking, rephrasing of the question.
Yeah. Oh, is it possible to highlight but not amplify the woke? Well, on that note,
it depends on what you mean by woke, because if you're too subtle about it, then it's not woke, is it?
No, because the true definition of woke is basically, or at least what we go by, is the false.
It's a belief in the false ideological belief that's basically critical race theory and intersectionality, which is a pure ideology. It has zero, and I mean zero, actual scientific backing. It is an ideology. It's based on premises which can easily be dismantled, and that is the foundation for the whole thing. Basically, a perceived level of victimhood, and how you then rank individuals based on their inherent traits, that you then assign a value according to the perceived level of victimhood in accordance with the principles of intersectionality.
I think I have a good example of where the woke is kind of baked into something, but a lot of people don't see it until it's kind of pointed out. The debate we had around the Batman. Because I said flat out a few times, like, I did not question the casting of certain actors in the roles until they highlighted a certain element in the plot, let's say, when they had the whole Catwoman going on and on about white privilege, and you had the mayor talking about Bruce doing better, and then you kind of notice that every white person in the movie is horrible in some way, or bad in some way, or very flawed in some way. But all the people that are in, let's say, places of power that happen to be of color were the only good people. So once Catwoman made that point, it made me retroactively go back through the movie and go, wait a minute now, did you hire those people because of their acting skills? Or did you change their characters because of the color of their skin?
I'll give you an example to this. Like, for instance, Commissioner Gordon. He's supposed to be a good guy.
That's my point.
But he can no longer be white because...
I didn't want to flat out say it, but that's what I was getting at, yes. Yes. So yes, the Jeffrey Wright being the main point of this whole thing, because I do enjoy the actor. I think he's a great fucking actor. And at that point, that movie pissed me off for the reason of it made me question, did they put him in here because he's a good actor and he does great in a role, or because of the color of his skin? And now I'm starting to wonder. That is woke. That is woke in and of itself right there. And that's a way that they didn't amplify it necessarily until you actually see the film. So I don't know if that's what you're asking, Lord Pepsi, but that's the best example I can give at this point.
Yeah, decent example.
All right. Well, then we got, let's see here. Adam Wolford's in the house. How you doing, buddy? Says, I saw it looks like high school instead of college. Yeah, I was wrong on that. It is high school. So my bad. And then the show just looks like it turns into Harry Potter. Like, I'm just like, okay. But then STR Red Wolf says, Pugsley and Fester, they take a licking and keep on ticking. Yes, they do. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, woke, fake activism. Yes, that's another good way to put it. And fake compassion, yep, which works counter to its stated goals. Yep, it is stolen valor from the equality from liberalism. I like the stolen valor point too. That's another thing, especially when it comes to a lot of these people who think they're part of some major movement. It's like, sorry to tell you this, but somebody's already done this years and years and years and years.
Yeah, the only thing they're part of are Mancunian candidates.
And they're just recreating the problems of the past, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of their segregation and other bullshit that they're doing now. But with that, I think that's a good place to wrap things up. What do you think, Andre? Let me double check with 6. But let's see here. We missed... I'm getting some
Let's go through what we missed here.
Silver Nova, who's been a member for 17 months. Waddle D's Nuts, who sent in $1.99, says, how are the male characters in She-Hulk portrayed? Sorry, we missed that.
No, we didn't. We got it.
Oh, we got that one? Okay, so
we got it.
Some of these we may have gotten. She just may not have heard. Shroom sent in a member chat. That one I know we didn't get. They should use the John Kent actor from Superman and Lois CW show as a benchmark for handling mental health. I have not seen the show. So. Yeah. That's really? The kid quit?
The blonde one. Yeah, he quit.
Really?
Yep. Stated that he has some personal mental health issues he wants to deal with, and he has decided to leave the show. So.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, good for him.
You got to respect that.
And then Mike and Air says, long gone are the days of Superboy's actor being replaced after the season 1 for DUI. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, John Newton.
Yeah, I remember that now. Now you brought it up.
He was better than the guy they got to replace him.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get a Superman actor who looks kind of effeminate and has a lisp. Like, what?
Yeah. And then Nelson Sharita says, Adams thought they were special monsters normal. Yes. Yes. Snell's World says, Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. If not, then it's $3 off. So with that, we are caught up. Thank you for that 6. Most of those we missed, and I apologize for that. Sometimes they get past Andre and I here on this side of things. But if it wasn't for the mods out there keeping us up to date with things, what would we do, Andre? I don't know.
That's what I say. We are so grateful for our team of mods who do amazing, every single one. And also, again, today, happy birthday to Natasha.
Yes, indeed.
And belated happy birthday to Six, who also had a few days.
And Mags as well.
Mags as well?
Yeah, she had one, I think Sunday was her birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, yeah, well, happy birthday, Mags.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. We had a couple in our mod group just in the last week or so here. Yeah. And that's right, Davina Duckworth. Do not provoke the koala, but we're going to have to. We're going to have to get him wet.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. He don't give a fuck. So
that's right.
With that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
That's right, it is. Thank you so much, gang. Take care of yourselves and each other. Where's the damn koala? He ran away. There he is.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala, koala. Koalas in the rain.